as the title says, actually, when I initially started this, so first of all, good morning, good afternoon, and assalamu alaikum, and any other greetings that you can think of. Welcome to the session of getting into the Government of Canada or other public service job. The themes are almost the same, but we're going to cover more specifically for the Government of Canada today, and then we'll take it from there. But before we start, does anybody have any questions? No one has any question. Okay. So just to give you a little bit of, my name is Shafiq Islam. I will be actually running this session today. We have two sponsors that are helping us. There is a chat. Someone put it in there. Will we be recording this session? Technically, we are recording this session, yes. So I was going to get to that, but if you bear with me, okay. Any other questions before we start? Okay, no. So to start, a lot of the times, actually, I get a lot of requests from people that, oh, can you help us to apply? Can you help us to prepare for an interview? Can you take a look at my responses and so forth? And this is one of the most time-consuming things that anyone can do. And so sometimes, I'm able to help, sometimes I'm not. So I figured the best way to address this will be conduct a session and then give everyone an opportunity to learn. Initially, when I started putting together this presentation, I was putting it together, applying into the Government of Canada job, but I have since then changed it to getting into the Government of Canada job. We have two sponsoring organization, and one of the organization is Q4E Institute, and the other organization is Projonmo Foundation. And I will give you a little bit details towards the end of the session about those. Okay. Let's do a land recognition. And I'm in Ottawa right now, and I'm talking from Ottawa. And so from the city of Ottawa, I honored the people and the land of Anishinaabe, Algonquin Nation, and we honor all the First Nation, Inuit, Métis people, and their valuable past and present contribution to this land. And it is because of them we are here. And you will see this land recognition in any of the government job that, any of the government session that actually government conducts, although this is not a official government session, and we will talk about that a little bit as well. A bit about me. I come from the private sector. I actually was not always in government. I worked as a general manager for NYC listed actually organization company. And then subsequently, I worked as a recruiter, and I spent significant amount of time as a recruiter doing recruitment for administrative and financial positions. I've been in the government since 2012. I have worked for a number of organizations, and I have worked also for my current capacity. I'm with National Defense. By trade, I'm in finance. I'm first generation Bangladeshi Canadian immigrant, and I am involved with a number of not-for-profit. That's a little bit about me. So I'm hoping that through this session, I will be able to give you a all-rounded perspective on a lot of the recruitments that the government does. Okay. So one of the questions that was asked, are we all Bangladeshi? Not necessarily. We're expecting actually a couple of people from outside the community. Hence, we'll be conducting this session in English. All right. Let's take a look at it. One of the things I wanted to remind you that the Chatham House rules applies. What is Chatham House rules? For most of probably a lot of you who hasn't worked in the government, this is the first time you're hearing this. When a meeting or part of thereof is held under the Chatham House rules, participants are free to use the information received, and neither the identity nor the affiliation of the speaker nor any of the other participant may be revealed. So this is a safe zone for us to have conversation, and when this rule is invoked, you are allowed to use the information that you learn, and you're allowed to debate, you're allowed to have discussions, but you're not allowed it to attribute to a person when it is invoked at the meeting. If any of you disagree with that rule, right, you're more than welcome to leave the meeting, but that rule applies. So what that means is that all of us are going to be able to have a conversation safe, and we will not go out and say, oh, this person said this person said this, okay? And legally, we're not also liable for any of the conversation that we have in here. Can everybody see the presentation? Are you facing any issue at all? No?
No, looks good.
Okay, awesome. Couple of disclaimers. I am not here in an official capacity. I'm not here as a government employee, but rather I'm here through my association with the not-for-profit organizations, and it is for the betterment of the people and the communities that we are conducting these sessions. Everything presented here, I will not present here that is not publicly available. All the information that we're going to be presenting here that are publicly available, and you will be able to, and we will show you the link where this information is available. I'm not here to provide you any job guarantee or offer, and any opinion that I express here, those are only my personal opinion, nor that of my employer. So I wanted to make sure that we put that disclaimer in there. Okay. Some ground rules we need to talk about. By the way, are you hearing any background noise coming from my on my side?
No.
No? Yes, no? Can I get a response
No.
from someone? Is there any background noise are you hearing from me?
No
Okay,
background noise.
good.
At least I don't hear it.
Okay, awesome. So some ground rules. As I said, that the Chatham House rules applies. I'm going to give you a break in between at the end of each of those sections that we're going to cover, and you will have the opportunity to ask questions in relation to those segments when we're covering it. When we cover it in those sections, try to keep it relevant so that everybody and you can benefit from it, and we have a very limited amount of time. What I would ask you is that if you can mute yourself, unless you're asking question or you're participating and engaging in a discussion, right? So that it is not disruptive. All right. The contents that we're going to be covering today, we're going to cover a little bit about why public service, why anybody would want to work in public service. We're going to talk about the classification and collective agreement. We're going to look at the Canada.ca job portal. We're going to take a look at the job posting application. We're going to do a live application or part of it. We'll talk about the exams that you will participate in most of the government competition. We're going to talk about interview, and we will do an interview or part of an interview. We're going to talk about job offer. We're also going to talk about the spiritual aspect of job hunting. I will share what I do and how I cope with the job hunting. And I do recognize that we have people from different faith and different beliefs and so forth. And what I want to tell you right at the beginning is that if you can get ready to share in your faith, in your spiritual journey, how do you deal with the cope of the frustration and the stress that comes with job hunting? We would be very open to hear that. Let it be Hindu, Buddha, Christian, agnostic, any other religion that you can think of. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown of the two sponsoring organizations that are sponsoring this event. And then we're going to be finishing that with concluding remarks. Does anybody have any question at this point in time before we start? No? Okay. All right. Let's get started. So let's open up a little bit. Why do you want to, actually, before we come to the, why do you want to be in public service? Right? Why do you want to work for Government of Canada? Let's open the floor a bit and let's participate a bit. Why does anybody want to actually work for the Government of Canada or any other public service? Who wants to go? Any brave soul? No, let's actually open up your mic and let's talk. Job security, okay? Ashraf bhai said job security.
And I presume that this is a reliable jobs, and everyone wants to get a security that I said my earlier colleagues.
Right.
And I think it is the first priority, and also the demand and social service, social peoples in community. They also do, and it's a renowned thing.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Who else wants to go?
I'm currently working with the provincial government in Alberta, and I'm not familiar with how, from what I gather, the job application process for GOC is quite extensive and different. And
Yes.
Since you are throwing this session, I was curious to find out what is this world of Government of Canada's job, how it works out, and probably if I'm interested, how I can venture into it. The perks of government jobs is that it provides stability, and I mean, working with the provincial government, I think I have better perks right now compared to when I was working at the private sector, in terms of probably not in terms of pay, but in terms of leave and all other perks that we get.
Yeah, the most certainly. Most certainly. Anyone else? Okay, let's take a look at it. Okay. All right. So yes, you're taking this as a learning session, right? And so why does anybody wants to work for the Government of Canada or other public service? I mean, it is obviously not the money, right? Nobody really wants to work for, if you are in there for money, then you most certainly are better off actually working for the private sector, right? Money. But government is pretty big. I mean, there is almost like 350,000 employees actually all across Canada. Any field that you can think of actually is within the government. Any field that you can think of. Let it be a field in STEM, let it be a field in finance, let it be a field in any administrative services, right? All of those are in there. So if your passion, whatever your passion is, you probably can find a position actually working in public service. You want to make a difference? Obviously, in government, the diversity matters, right? If you are one of those that are actually very conscientious about the diversity, obviously you do want to come and work for the government, because government sets example for the for the private sector and other organizations, and so diversity is a big thing in government. One of the important thing that we don't remember, and we often forget, actually it is us, it is our government. So we want to be part of the decision making process. Excuse me. Now, a lot of people say, if you are working for the government of Canada, you can basically pretty much find a job in all bigger cities and all remote areas in Canada. So whatever location that you can think of, you can probably find something in there. And if you have a spouse that move around quite a bit in the private sector or in the government sector, right? Most certainly you can venture into the government jobs. The salaries are decent, right? The benefits are great, right? You have your salary, you have your benefits, you have your pension. Pensions are the maximum pension that you can get in the government of Canada is the 70% of the best of your 5 years. So what does that mean? So every year of service you accumulate 2%. So if you work 35 years, right, so that's 70% of your best 5 years average that will come. So if you were making $100,000 in an average, and your best 5 years, that's your best 5 years average is $100,000, then the 70% of that $70,000 that you would be making, that's just a rough estimate, as a pension if you put in your whole 35 years. Now if you put in 20 years, obviously you will get 40%, and so forth and so forth. And dental benefits, your leave, your vacation, and all of those. The vacation is usually a little bit better because the pay is a little bit less than the private sector. I came into the government actually when I had a premature baby, and me and my wife, we needed to spend a lot of time, and I was in the private sector, and I was working 60, 70 hours at that time, and I needed time to spend with the family and to support her as she grew. And I never really looked back, and I enjoyed every bit of it since then. So work-life balance is a big thing, and it's a world-class institution. A lot of the things that private sector, the processes are, every process that you can think of, what you learn at school, actually, when you come to the government, you see it in application. A lot of the times, private sector, and we call it red tape, but or people outside actually call it red tape, but sometimes, when you're dealing with public money, those red tapes are essential element of providing security to the public money. All right, now, what we're going to be doing today, actually a little bit of kinesthetic or tactile learning. What it is that we're not only going to be listening to the lecture, we're going to be or talk, and we're going to be participating, and we're also going to be doing some hands-on things so that all of our sensors are active in learning actually how to apply for different jobs. Okay. Now, let us take the time. Let's learn about ourselves. Okay, let's learn about ourselves. Now, to do that, I'm going to start a poll. If I can get all of you to answer to this poll. Are you able to all see the poll? Are you all able to see the questions in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, so can I get you to answer? I'll take quick 2 minutes, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, let's end the poll, and let's share the results. Are you able to see the results? Everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to get to know ourselves, right? We have about 50-50 people, about half and half that have applied to a position and didn't get a position, and then some didn't apply. Hopefully they're going to apply in the future. Are you currently a public servant? So we have 9%. We have a couple of people actually that are a public servant. Okay. Are you a member of the visible minority? There is a 73% responded yes, and we will talk about that. Okay. And do you have any disability? Right. We do not have any disability here. Okay. But the question that we're going to be trying today is going to be an example of someone with disability, and so hopefully that will help. For it doesn't constrain us in any way. And then if you take a look at the age group, the 24% of this group actually is 18 to 30. Another 24% is roughly about 30 to 40. Another 43% is about 40 to 50, and then 10% is 50 to 60. These two age group, which makes up actually 50%, almost 50% of our group. You are less than 40, and so if you take a look at the pension, take the number of years you potentially can do work before your retirement, and then multiply by that 2%, and basically that will give you a very rough number. Okay. All right. So now that we know this group, so we get a pretty mixed group, and then let's start the remainder of the presentation. Okay. The two most important thing when it comes to working for the government as an employee is classification and the collective agreement. Those of you who have not registered, please register. I have provided the link on the chat because I have sent earlier this morning a file. On that file, you will see a link is the occupational groups for public service and collective agreement. So first, let's take a look at I'm going to change the share right now, and I'm going to share the entire screen with you. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at the occupational groups for the public service. All right. If you go in there, you will basically see every single occupational groups that is in the government. Okay. So if you are ever interested, right, to know, let's say I am going to type in, what do you call it, engineer, and so there is aircraft operation, architectural engineer, right? And you can take a look at it. You can say, I'm going to take a look at finance. There is the financial management group. You can take a look at it. First, every time you want to, whatever your area of expertise is, or your formal training is in, if you want to do something administrative, let's say for a second, you studied English or anything along that line, and you want to do admin, right? You can take a look. There's a human resource, program administration, and all of those classifications are in here. Okay. Know that which classification is an interest to you, right? Once you know that, then rest becomes actually very easy. So if I know that this is an classification that I'm interested in, let's just say for a second, program administration, and I can just click on that, and this will tell you about that job. This will tell you the job evaluation standard. So within that, there are administrative services, communication, clerical, and regulatory, right? Within that classification, these all are there, and the qualification standard, it is in there. Oh, it doesn't look like this one is filled, but anyway, so you can take a look at it right in here, and it will tell you a little bit about the job in the government. Okay, I'm going to tie all of these pieces in a little bit. So hang in there. First, I'm going to show you the information, and then I will show you how to use this information. Okay. All right. So anytime you want to have a job and you want to know about that job in the government, this will tell you and provide you some details about that job. Okay. Now, the next thing is the most important thing for a public servant is the collective agreement. A public servant does not go to their manager and negotiate their salaries, negotiate what do you call it, their benefits, their leave. It is already been negotiated. So these are union contracts, and the union, by the virtue of union contracts, basically all of this element has been negotiated. What does that mean? That means, if you are on a government travel, how much you're going to get paid. If you are on a government travel, what benefits you're going to get. If you are moving for the government, what benefits you're going to get. If you are on a if you are sick, what benefits you're going to get. If your spouse is sick, family is sick, what benefits you're going to get. None of that requires any negotiation. And the manager does not have the authority to override the collective agreement. So let me say this again. Your manager is abide by the collective agreement. Your manager does not have the authority to override the collective agreement unless it is a super dire situation. And I can tell you that in the last 12 years that I've been in the government, I have not seen one exception where manager was successfully able to override a collective agreement condition. Okay. So now let us take a look at a collective agreement, and I'm going to show you a couple of things because it involves a lot of the questions that you ask. So let's say for a second, a lot of our people are actually they're when they come in as an immigrant, they don't have a lot of experience. So let's say we're going to take a look at the PA collective agreement. This is Program Administration and Services. We took a look at that earlier. And if you take a look at it, it will say purpose and scope of the agreement, and then the dental care plan, and then labor disputes, and the discipline and the grievance procedure if you disagree with, and so it will outline all of those, your hours of work. But the most beautiful thing it will have in every collective agreement is a schedule, and that the schedule will say that, sorry, just a second here. The schedule will say about the pay. And it will say for that classification, let's say classification is AS, and whatever the date is, what your pay is going to be when you start, if you are getting promoted, like, as you're moving up, every year that you spend, what is going to be your salary and so forth. And this does not, again, require your negotiation. It automatically, you get the bump to the salary. Automatically, you get bump on the salary so on your anniversary of every year that you get bump, except, only exception, you're such a poor performer that your manager is holding back your increments. And that also does not happen very frequently. That's a very unusual case usually. Okay. So if you take a look at it, right in there, and then it will have, so under one collective agreement, you can have number of different classifications. So the AS, these are the people that does different jobs. Then the people that are CM, these are communication people. And then CR, these are different group of people. They're mostly doing the clerical and regulatory stuff. And then you have DA, and then you have PM is people that are actually working with outside and so forth and so forth. Does anybody have any question up to this far in this two material that I have showed you? So the first material I have showed you is, go back and take a look at that. is occupational groups within the public service. And the second thing I have shown you is the collective agreement, where it outlines all the benefits that as a public servant that you are entitled to, what are the restrictions, what are the pay, what are the leave, and so forth and so forth. Does it all make sense? Does anybody have any question up to this far? No? Can I get a thumbs up if no one has any question? Okay. In East, there is Dhuhr prayer. So can we take 5 minutes for so that people that actually wants to pray? Can you hear me, everybody? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, no problem.
Because someone actually wrote can't hear, so I think they're having problem with their so we're going to, for those of you that are in the East, so if you are in a different time zone, right, just remind me when it is prayer time. I will give you a 5 minutes break. So let's take just a 5 minutes pause so that those people that want to pray, that they can pray. Okay, because it's about 3.5 hour session, so we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to pray. Okay. Jazakallah khair, everybody. Okay, let's get started. Is everybody back? We're all good. Can I get a thumbs up from everybody? We're all good to go? All right, let's do this. So before we move any further, we have no question in classification and collective agreement, correct, everybody? We're all good?
Just I am wondering, you can just summarize on occupational groups for the public service, because yeah, just the first one, but just a nutshell.
So you have finance group, and that's FI. You have engineering group, that's I believe EN, if I'm not mistaken. You have the administrative group. In the administrative group, you have PM, you have AS, you have what do you call it, CM, right? Those are all administrative group. And then you have one of the other major one is a lot of our people, a lot of the people, the immigrants are in the computer science field, so that's CS. And so if you are interested, so those, so find out which area is an interest to you, what your training is, and then you have lawyer group, right? That's a different group. And then you have nurse, that's a different group. And then you have what do you call it? And then you have maintenance, that's a different group if you are in trades. If you are cook, chef, that's a different group, right? So whatever that group is, like, you have to go and actually look it up, whatever that group is, and then it will, you go ahead and take a look at the collective agreement to see what is the salary range, benefits, and all of the other things for that group. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at the next thing, which is the job portal. Now, this used to be, a lot of people actually gets lost in here. So this used to be jobs.gc.ca. But what I would highly recommend, you do not, in fact, if you try to go actually using that portal, you cannot do that anymore. Let's move this here just a bit. If you want to go through jobs.gc.ca, you cannot do that anymore. You will get an error message like this. What I would recommend, anytime that you want to get into the job portal, you go to canada.ca, okay? And you will click in English. Here, let's move this one here. You'll go to English, and then you click on find a job, Government of Canada jobs, sign in or create GC jobs. I'm going to show you one more time. So to go in there, you go to canada.ca, English, jobs, find a job, Government of Canada job, and then sign in and create a gc.jobs account. Now, I showed you, so you will have to, if you don't have an account, you will have to create an account. In my account, I will have a couple of additional things. If you are not a Government of Canada employee, you will not have those additional things, and that's okay. But if you are a Government of Canada employee, then let's say for a second, I'm just going to show you, you will not have this internal jobs tab. You will have jobs open to the public, NOC, NAPA, NAA, and I will explain all of that to you in just a second, okay? So one of the first thing you should be doing is when you come in here, right, you go to my account and you go to account personal information. You should fill out this information, okay? And that's pretty simple. You know, you put your language profile in there, right? And then you put your contact information, your education, you put it in there, right? What is very critical when you put your resume, unlike all other systems, this is only plain text. So you have to copy your resume from Microsoft Word, paste it in there, and then you will have to align it. Make sure that you do that alignment, okay? And so that it looks a little bit neat, right? There is no formatting in here. What I also recommend is that if you are applying for a Government of Canada job, don't put in your career goal as I want to be the CEO of a private organization. Make sure that you keep an eye on those and right and put all of this information. And then you save it. And I will show you actually how, when and how you're going to use that information. Then you're going to put it in your name, address, contact information, and all of that. This is your profile. Your profile is created. When you go in there, edit email alerts, you can put in your email alert. You can put in what you like to get the email for, jobs open to the public, notification of consideration. And so you can put in all of those alerts in here. The most important thing, although, when you put in here, you go in classification. Remember, you selected a classification, you know what your classification is, and you are going to select whatever classification is an interest to you. If computer science system or administrator, if that is an interest to you, and then you can put in all levels in there, and you know it will bring it right in here. Language requirement, right? All language requirement, English, right? You're going to put it in there. And so once you put all of that in there, and then job types, if you're looking for, I'm going to cover the job types, don't worry about it. But job type is that, you know, you're going to put in whatever the job type that, you know, if you're a graduate program, a student program, regular job posting, select all of that and then save it. What it will do is that it will send you alert on every time a job within the specification that you have asked for, it becomes available. What is also important is that, you know, if you want to put into your area selection, this is where you would put the area selection that, you know, Edmonton, Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver, whatever that city that you're in, right? The more that you expand, the more chances that you have if you have the mobility. If you don't have the mobility, then that is understandable. Does anybody have any question in regards to what I have just shown you? So 3 things I have shown you important here. You need to create an account. You need to set up a job alert. You need to set up your personal profile, and then you can do search. You know, at any point in time, if you figure out that, okay, you don't have, you know, you're not getting, there may be some jobs that you didn't get alert for, right? You want to try something else, you can put it in here, right? Job title, you can put it in here and start to do search. Is everybody good with it so far? So far, so good? Does anybody have any question in the job portal?
Yeah, just I'm wondering, can you recap the just opening to how to open a job portal, how to access a job portal?
Okay, so you go to canada.ca, you click on English,
Just slowly, yeah.
you click on jobs, and then you click on find a job, and then you click on Government of Canada jobs. It has other jobs. If you are student, what probably will be of interest to you is the student employment, right? There are different student employment programs that Government of Canada runs. When you are in school and when you just graduated, so this is where you would come in and you would actually look at those. Okay. Everybody good? So far, so good?
Thank you, thank you.
No worries at all. All right. Now you know how to log in and how to look for a job, set alert for a job, and set different criterias to filter the jobs that you are looking for. By the way, sorry guys, I run a number of programs, so if you're seeing message, just ignore those. Anyway, so we talked about the job alert, job search, profile, and resume. Now let's come to the most fun part of our session today. And that is the job, actually, no, one of the most fun parts. Now, job posting and application, we're going to take a look at each of those types. I already showed you classification. You already know about it. You are a master at it by now, right? Yes? No?
Sorry.
I said you are master at classification, right? So if anybody tells you what is classification, you're able to answer that question. You're going to look up classification and you are all good, right? Yeah, Nadia, give thumbs up. Okay, awesome. All right. Now let's take a look at the employment type. Government of Canada has a number of employment types. The term that you will hear is the two primary types. One is indeterminate and one is determinate. The determinate employment can be divided into further, and those can be term employment and casual employment. An indeterminate employee is a permanent employee of Government of Canada. Any time of layoff, any time of government wants to do cutback spending and so forth, those jobs are usually protected. In about 15-20 years, sometimes what happens in once every 15-20 years, government decides to cut jobs very sharply to curb spending. And when that happens, a determinate position can also be subject to some type of realignment. However, the benefit of that is if a indeterminate employee ever becomes unemployment as a result of cut, this employee becomes a priority. What that means is that if government wants to rehire, they are the first one to be hired, in a nutshell, right? So if I'm a permanent employee, if I get cut back today and government says, no, 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 we have no money, we have to cut back, 100 employee, and I'm one of those 100 employee, okay, so I will go in the priority system. Anytime government in the subsequent time wants to rehire, they cannot just go and hire people from outside. They first have to actually look at me. The department will have to look at me, and then if the whole of public service also will have to look at me as a candidate first before they look at anywhere outside. Term employees, on the other hand, are for longer term, but no longer than 2 years, but more than 3 months and 29 days. So term is used when a government needs to do a job or government is unsure about the funding, whether and the future stability of the funding, they may not hire someone in a position indeterminately. They can hire someone via term. Term is also a way that most of the managers would usually hire an employee from, especially from outside the government, because it is super difficult when you hire an employee in an indeterminate position to get rid of that employee. So term is a way for the government usually bring employees in. There is a question. Okay. Term is a way the government usually would hire someone to see if that person is a fit to the organization, and if that person can work with the team, work with the managers and so forth, or this person is unemployable, right? They can bring someone to test, and then if that person is good, then they can convert to indeterminate. Now, also equally, however, in order for the government to be able to hire a term employee and an indeterminate employee, they have to give fair chances. Now, that fair chances can be, if the government intends to hire from outside the government, then it will be the fair chances to the general public. If they want to hire within the government, then the fair chances will have to given to the within that department, or within the government in general, or within a portfolio, and so forth and so forth. A casual employment is often used to bring someone in to see that, okay, we're going to try this person, 4 months, and see what this person does under pressure, under stress, work ethic, and all of those, and then we're going to convert to term, and then term. However, if you are in a term position for 3 years, somehow they do it for 1 year, and then they do it for the second year, then they extend you for the third year, the government is obligated to hire that employee as a permanent employee. So this is where a term employee automatically becomes actually converted to an indeterminate employee. Now, these are all the things that can happen. The indeterminate employee, you can hire from directly from inside and outside. Term employee, you can hire directly from inside and outside. Casual employee, you can directly hire from inside and outside, but mostly this happens outside. Now, within the government, there are mechanisms by which a person with the same rank, can be put on to an equivalent position elsewhere within that department or within the government, and the term is called deployment. A deployment is when you are an indeterminate employee of the government, you own a position number is given to you. That's your property per se. When you deploy, you leave your position number, you are given a new position number. That can happen within the department, that can happen outside the department to another department. But it cannot be used, this process cannot be used to promote, to demote. This only can be used to laterally move from one position, one rank, to the equal rank. And in government, a rank is determined by pay. Whatever your collective agreement is, if you take a look at the collective agreement and the highest pay is 70,000, and there is, I think, 2% or 5%, whatever that, there is a limit. If it is within that percentage, right, then those two position is considered a equal rank position. You can deploy through this process only to an equal rank position. You can have assignment. What that means is, so a deployment is a permanent process. That means you leave one position, you become independent employee in another position. However, you can also, to learn about different things and career enhancement and so forth, you can take on a new job within your department just to try, see, or to gain new experience, or to work in a project. If it is within that department, it is called assignment. If it is outside the department that you are in, so I'm in D&D. If I'm in D&D, then it is assignment. If I am outside the D&D, then it is called secondment. And an assignment can be at a higher position. But from an assignment, the managers will have to use a permanent process to promote you. They cannot just promote you automatically. It is all very restricted by the Public Service Employment Act. Okay. Anybody have any question? So before we go any further, if you are looking for a job, the easiest way to get into the government is, if you don't have network, if you are a very good employee, but your communication skills are not there, or you are a new immigrant, you just became citizen or permanent resident, and you want to have your first job, you don't have a lot of experience, right? Casual employment is the best way to go. If they give you a casual employment, and then that's the time for you to impress, then you take a 6 months term, 1 year term, and then you become indeterminate employees. While I'm on that note, as a federal government employee, I have the ability, as an indeterminate employee, or an indeterminate employee has the ability to take time off and go on secondment in a municipal government or in a provincial government. And that's by the virtue of the contracts that the federal government has with all the provincial government. So that's something that I wanted to leave there. Does anybody have any question before we move on to the next slide? No? Yes, maybe?
Can you please repeat the last part that you said? Like we can transfer from federal government employment to a provincial government, that you said, right?
Yes. So if you're a federal government employee, there is an exchange program. I forget the exact name of the program, but you actually go through that program and you apply, and you can go and spend a couple of years in a provincial government to gain the experience.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have one questions that for new immigrant or the immigrant who have arrived 6 months or 1 year in Canada, at first they need to apply in casual or 1 year term or part-time.
You can apply to any position, right?
Okay.
But your most likely chance of getting into a position would be a term position or a casual position.
For example, in casual or in term position, 6 term or 1 year, after 6 months or 1 year, then the government quit my jobs, or
so the government can drop you as an employee, right? But keep in mind that if you don't have a job, you're in new government, that 6 months experience is more valuable than you sitting at home, right?
yeah.
Because you can show that 6 months experience to get another job and apply to different job.
Yeah, this is different government job.
Yes, yes. While you are in that position, you continue to apply.
Okay.
Right. The best part is, here is the best part. The best part is, if you are in a casual employment or if you're in a term employment, right, you are given a PRI number. Okay. So when you come to work for the government, you are given a PRI number. And that PRI number now gives you the ability to apply all of the internal jobs which you didn't have access to before.
Okay.
Right. So let's say government is posting for 300 jobs, and out of those, 200 jobs, those are internal, 100 jobs, those are external. And you came to a casual position, you're given a PRI. As soon as you're in the government, you're now able to actually apply to all of those jobs that you previously didn't have access to.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no
Hello.
worries. Yes.
Yeah, I have two quick questions. One is regarding the casual employment that we mentioned. So, is this something that is being advertised? Because the jobs that we are looking into, it's mostly talk about the permanent positions or indeterminate positions and the let's say term positions.
That
But I
is
just
such a wonderful question. That is such a wonderful question. I love that question. And yes, I will show you. No, the answer is about all of the casual jobs does not get advertised. Because that's the beauty of casual job. The manager doesn't have to advertise. And how to get into those jobs, we're going to talk about that.
yeah, thank you. And the second question, if I may, is regarding the term employment that you mentioned. So you said there are like if you are in the system for consecutively for 3 years, the government is obliged to make you an indeterminate. But let's say I'm sure you are aware of the term that is the stopping the clock. So when the clock stops, like from your experience, like how long does it take to open it up again?
Say that question one more time.
So let's say you are a term employee, right? So you have entered into the positions, and then suddenly the department has decided to stop the clock for the term employees, which means that those days that you are working when the clock is stopped will not be counted for becoming an indeterminate. So let's say from your experience, I'm just wondering like whether you have had some experience on that, like, and how much time does it take, like once the clock is stopped, to open it again?
So I only had one situation like that. Okay. And that was back in
Okay.
2015, where
Okay.
the employees and the department was actually at Environment Canada, they put a hiring freeze. Okay. And at that time that they were not hiring, and so the clock was stopped. To be honest with you, I don't know that when they turned it back on, but I know that, I mean, I left at that time because I, was able to secure a job in another department. But that's a very good question. I don't know the answer to, but I will collect the answer and I will let you know.
No problem. I'll be in touch. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on. Now, we talk about the employment type. Now, I provided a job posting. I provided a job posting for our sales today. And I'm going to just open up that job posting. All of you that registered before tonight, 6 a.m. this morning, you actually got this. You got this job posting that I sent it to you. I'm just going to open that up.
I do not get this.
Okay. I on the chat there is a link for registration. So if you register and then later on after the meeting, I will send it to you.
Yeah, I already registered, but I did not get.
Okay. What is your name?
Basu.
Okay. I will take a look at it, Basu, and then I will provide that to you. Okay.
Okay.
So this is a job that we're going to be taking a look at today. And this is the part that I'm referring to when you are seeing a job posting. So we talked about so far the types of job. So if you take a look at the classification, we talked about that. We talked about the salary range that you can get from the collective agreement. It will tell you the restriction that it has, that who can apply into this job. If you do not meet this criteria, you're automatically pushed out. Let's say for a second, you are a person with disability and you are applying to this job. Yes, you are eligible to apply to this job. You are not a person with disability. You apply to this position, although you meet the other criteria, you will not be considered. I always ask everyone, like, a perfect example would be today. we have 72 people that registered, 27 people that showed up on time or almost on time. And then the remainder, 7 people that showed up late, right? Other 35 people or 37 people didn't show up, right? So those of you who are familiar with the normal distribution or statistical analysis, and if you know distribution, and that's usually what the distribution looks like, a group of people that are going to show up very early, and a group of people that are going to show up somewhere in the middle, and the group of people will never show up, right? And so if you take a look at any group, actually that normal distribution exists. Similarly, when you're filing an application, that normal distribution exists. We, by the virtue of us being us, we often do things completely at the last minute. We're taking a look at 2359, and I have had many situations where I have seen applicants actually submitted their application exactly at 2359 or 58, right? If you are interested in a job, right, work on that job before that closing date. Don't wait for the last days or last day. In CRA, in some of the department, they would go and they would just actually pick the first 50 application, right? They don't even take a look at those applications.
If
If an organization has a lot of those people who like to wait until the deadline to complete their task, that organization is in trouble. So the best way, brother Saifur, you have a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, brother, I just want to make a comments here because most of the people who are in the call, I think we are coming from a country with one time zone. So let's say Bangladesh, Pakistan, or India. So we do not have different time zones. But here, I think the time zones are also important. So it's very important to look at what time zone actually the deadline is set, because sometimes, yeah, if you can highlight that, please.
Right. Oh, that is such a wonderful. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Yeah. So we come from one time zone, and then you have all those. When you are taking a look at that, right? Take a look at it's a Pacific time. Actually, that's what it is set up. Right. Thank you. So you have it, right? But the thing where I wanted to point out actually here, as you go through the intent of the process, you will see the number of positions that they're trying to fill out. The higher that number, the better chances you have as a candidate to get into that job. If it is a frontline job and very elementary job, and a lot of people are trying to get in, and they're going to hire only one person, still apply to the job because you're going to be in the pool. It's a concept that you may not be familiar with. I will explain to you in just a second. So what happens is that it will tell you what the intent of the process is. Sometimes you will see the intent of the process is to create a pool, right? A pool of employees, this is where they're kept. And as soon as the government needs or the department needs or that a specific business area needs, they will go ahead and actually pool the employees. Okay. So super important, take a look at it, but don't let it deter you that I would put, if you see that there is 10 positions you're being hired and you are an engineer, you are a lawyer, you are a computer science guy, right? I would really focus on that job very much because you know that the probability of getting into that job is much higher. Okay. Any question on that? Okay. Now comes to the one of the most important element of the application. When you're applying for the government, right? When you're applying for the government and you are responding to a job, you have to, let me say this again, you have to meet the essential qualification. If you do not meet the essential qualification, you will be screened out. Now, this essential qualification fits into two criteria, two sides, right? Your education and your experience. If the posting says that you have to have a university 4 years degree, you have to have that degree. If it says a university degree or equivalent experience, then yes, you can, that's the essential qualification of the position, and yes, you can bypass without the university degree. If it says that 2 years of that experience, your application should demonstrate that you have 2 years of that specific experience that they're looking for. And we're going to also take a look at that. So the highlight of this slide is when you are applying to a Government of Canada job, you have to demonstrate. I didn't say you have to have it. I said you have to have it and demonstrate it on the application that you have met the essential qualification. How do you go about doing that? We will take a look at that on the live example. Does anybody have any question on that?
Assalamualaikum. I have one question previous slide about the first 50%. So we have to follow every day, every morning, evening, job posting. If we late 2 days or 5 days or 7 days, what's gonna happen? Better not to apply?
No, usually, so it's not that you have to apply on the first day, no, right? But if you have a job posting that is open, let's say for 10 days, unless it is an emergency, very rarely you will see a government posting is taken out in 3 days. If a government posting is taken out in 3 days, the manager already probably has someone in mind. Okay, so if you have 3 weeks time, don't wait until the last couple of days. That's the point that I was trying to make.
Second question, quick question. If they will not pick our resume or we are not qualified, I didn't receive any email or concern from them that not been successful or something else.
So in this case, keep in mind, there are thousands and thousands of applications that the government gets. Okay, they do not have time or the processes or the people, right, to notify every single candidate that, okay, you didn't succeed. You will be notified at every step that you succeed. Okay, up until towards the very end, if you succeed, if you didn't succeed, if they interviewed you and you didn't succeed, they will call back, and at that point in time, they will actually send you an email at that point. If they test you, if you didn't succeed, they will let you know. If they interviewed you, you didn't succeed, they will let you know. If they put you in a pool, they will let you know. But in the initial application, if you didn't succeed, they will not let you know. You can see that on your job status, you can see that actually you were not picked, right? But they will not send any separate email. Sometimes government is very volatile in this sense that sometimes actually they may actually run a competition and they probably got 1,000 application, and then all of a sudden some politician says that, okay, you cannot, we're going to curb spending on this department, and so the hiring stops, all the activity on that competition stops. So you have to be conscientious of that fact too. Okay, I will tell you this much though, it's a number game. Right? If you put all of your egg in one basket, if you did one job, applied to one job, then if something happens with that job or posting or competition, then you're out, right? But if you apply to 10 jobs, the chances of all 10 jobs being in the same position is very unlikely.
Sorry, one more question. So somebody suggests me we have to fill up fully, completely profile, not only uploaded resume or CV. So that's sometimes laziness. We are not to fill up all the profile, but somebody city or government job, like your resume you've shown us. So we have to have, beside the uploading resume, we have to fill up our profile second time online, right?
No, and I will show that to you actually. There is a portion that you have to complete every time, and I will show that to you in due time. So stay with me.
Thank you.
All right, so intent of the process, essential qualification we already covered. Now we're getting into the asset qualification. These are something, so let's take a look at the job that we were taking a look at, right? It says essential qualification, a secondary school diploma or acceptable combination of education, training, and experience. And then essential qualification experience common to all, and it tells you. But it also can come back and tell you that other qualification. Anytime you see that, that means these are asset qualification. You do not have to meet it to apply the job, right? But it is good to have it. And then you can see that this is essential for the job is the language profile and so forth. Anyway, so that's next, language profile. If you are young, and we saw that 14% of our people in this presentation are in the age of 18 to 30. If you are young in that category, you're better to have complete, you're better if you are in the government, right? Don't, the government is kind of obligated to send you to French training. Let it be in once a week or a couple of times a week. Different department has different needs and so forth. But if you speak with your manager, right, your manager will facilitate that for you, right? And provide some type of, because, you know, we're a bilingual country or parts of the bilingual country. So now, if you are ever taken, it is sometimes actually what happens is that you are taken in a, now as a candidate, you go and you owe the manager, as a candidate, you are great, right? And they can take you in a bilingual imperative or non-imperative position. If it is a non-imperative position, then they give you 2 years to complete your language profile. So you have 2 years to complete French, and then you know stay in the job. Otherwise, they can yank you out. But a lot of the positions are actually also English essential positions, especially outside NCR. If you go to the prairies, BC, and so forth and so forth, and so you can apply to those positions. Okay. All right. Now let's take a look at the competency. This is probably second or third most important slide. This competency become so important that this is gonna come to aid you in your interview. This is gonna come to aid you in your exam. This is gonna come to aid you when you are filling out the application. So you need to have a clear idea of what competency means, what the government is looking for, what the job posting is looking for. So a lot of the departments and the government has, just a second here, a competency map of what they mean when they say the person needs to be action oriented. What it means when they say the person needs to have the interpersonal understanding. What does it mean to have the coaching skills or the financial management? What does it mean to have a good one would be judgment and analytical thinking, right? So we're going to take a look at one of them. Let's say for a second, you see a posting. Okay, let's go back to our posting. And the posting says, right here, the posting says interpersonal skills, judgment, right? So what does it mean? So you go into the dictionary. This is, by the way, Immigration Canada. If you Google competency, whatever department it is, you may find a specific one. But even if you find a couple, actually, those are all come from the same sources and so forth. So Adaptability and flexibility is one of them. So when you are being asked to demonstrate adaptability and flexibility, what they are looking for is the ability to readily adjust one's behavior to meet demands of changing environment, working environment. It includes reacting positively to change, cooperating steadily with revised methods and priorities, right? So accept need for flexibility, willingness to alter normal course, adapt tactics, right? Adapt strategy, right? You come and you take a look at this job, and this is what they're looking for. One of the competency is this, right? Now, in your job, you've been asked to apply and show that you have competency. Your essential skill is experience of providing operational policies and procedures. And you provide that you have worked at this organization from this date to this date in this position, and you are supposed to provide at least 2 examples of each of those. When you're providing those examples, you know that this is what they're looking for, right? You need to integrate that in your answer, right? An example would be, on such and such date, we were going through change, and we were asked to change our processes, and I led this, and I did this, and I helped my colleague to come to a consensus to do this, right? When you integrate it in such a way, instead of providing just, yes, I have experience, your application is rejected already. Yes, I have experienced this, got this experience from there. That's not good enough. You need to provide example. You need to provide that the competencies that they're asking for, you need to provide that you have those competencies, right? So competency dictionary will tell you what that competency means. Now, let's say for a second, open to diversity, that question comes, right? And then you answer that, or the action oriented, and one of the action oriented is exploring multiple options and then picking the best option, right? You need to demonstrate that. But you wake up in the morning and there is that one idea that came in your mind, you did not explore any of the ideas, you didn't consult with anybody, and you are this one guy, one man show, and this is all you are going to implement. That's not being action oriented. Okay, so look at the competency dictionary and see what they're looking for. What are the points that you need to hit? This will keep coming in your interview, because in your interview, and I will cover that also, this will keep coming in your interview, in your exam, right? Because you need to make sure that you give them the points that they're looking for in order to be very successful and be ahead of the other candidates. Okay? Any question on that? No. Okay, that's awesome. Now you will find often a job posting is run only for a specific group of people, i.e., in this case, people with disability. You may also have job posting that may be run for minority candidates, because that organize, or women, right? Or a certain skill set, right? Why is that important? Because if we are to form a good government, our government should be a representative of the people, for the government to make effective decisions, to make decisions that represent the consideration of the minority, the consideration of the disability, the consideration of women, and so forth. So if you take a look at it, percentage-wise, right, the minority has been roughly about 13 to 15%. The women, if you take a look at it, they're since 2014, and this is what do you call it? This is 2018. It remained almost the same, right? Same thing goes for same thing. Oh, sorry. Same thing goes for disability. Same thing goes for minority, and so forth. So why does it look like that? How can a gigantic government like that actually is able to keep at that percentage year after year after year? The government, the short and long answer is the government sets goal. The human resource, the office of the chief human resource officer sets a goal of this is what the minority percentage should be every department, and the manager's incentive gets affected if they fall below that goal. So all managers, they try to make sure that they meet their minority, the minority percentage, disability percentage, and so forth and so forth. Traditionally, during a conservative government, this, some of this percentage actually may go down, but then the liberal government comes in and then actually they increase it, because during the liberal government, the total number of public service actually usually goes up because of the service and the programming that they offer. Okay. All right. The conditions of employment, you will see that on the job posting. If you go and take a look at it, and it will tell you what is required of that particular job. Usually it is not as major of an issue with the immigrants, but if there, obviously it happens sometimes that you are unable to get security clearance, and you have worked so hard for that job, and for some reason, either you may have had some issues in the past, and because of that, or you may have associated yourself with organizations that are in the government list, and it creates an issue. So let's say, I take a good example. Maybe let's just say for a second, let's say a certain organization in Bangladesh has been listed as a terror organization at some point, and then you get associated with that organization, and then all of a sudden all the that comes up during the security clearance check. Right? It can happen. It did happen, in fact. It's not it can happen, it did happen. So be conscientious of those factors, right? Credit is another important issue. If you get fired from any of the previous jobs where you were not able to keep confidential information confidential, right? Those becomes an issue. But you will never be offered a job without you having the security clearance. So it's a process that you're going to have to go through. And there are reliability, which is the lowest form, and then there is enhanced reliability, and this is the same version of this, except that if you're working for the public safety portfolio, i.e. RCMP, i.e. security intelligence, and all of that. And then from there on, actually, these two are kept for the very what do you call it, sensitive position, where the employee is dealing, or the position is dealing with sensitive information and so forth. All the ministers has top secret, or the deputy ministers have top secret, and so forth. Now, at the very beginning, one of the individual actually asked, how do we get into those casual jobs, right? They're not advertised. So this is where it's coming. Networking is the key if you are outside. Now, on every job, when you come in here, right? When you come in here, every job, at the end of this job, you will see that there is a staffing information or staffing person's email and name in there. Make a note of it. Send email, send greetings during holiday, right? During Christmas time, right? send an email. Hi, I'm actually looking for a job, and I'm blah blah blah. Prepare a paragraph, very well crafted, without any mistake, paragraph, and then send it with your resume and say, okay, you know what? I understand that you may not have a job now readily available. If they say, oh, I don't have a job right now, oh, that's okay, completely okay, no problem. Can you actually? I know that you're very well connected. And because what happens is that, yes, you may not get a job right now, 3 months, 4 months down the line, some position may come up, and they may, because we all, nobody wants to work too hard, either private sector or public sector. So if we have a person already willingly available to do this task, right, I'm not going to go ahead and try to make 15, 20 different phone calls and try to find a person. Right? So you have to be conscientious of that, right? So networking, it is so important, right? Make sure that you keep in touch, right? Make phone calls. I mean, nowadays it's hard to make phone calls because a lot of the people are not working from the office, right? But if you find a phone number, make a phone call, introduce yourself. Okay. Now, the other places where you can, I have given you some, I have emailed you. When I emailed you, I have emailed you some fairs that are job fairs that are happening. Actually, these are for CRAs, the different programs that they're doing. Go there, right, and meet with the people. Take their phone number, right, and what do you call it? Just a second here. Where am I? Okay. Where am I? Where did it go? Sorry, my apology. So take their phone number, right? So you have the communication security establishment, or so keep an eye on those, right? All you have to do is just Google, right? Google the job fairs, Canadian Government of Canada. These are all public information that is already available at your disposal, right? Walk in there, right? It may be Algonian College, right? Walk in there, introduce yourself, and then make sure that you're well suited, booted, right? And then you're well groomed, and introduce yourself, and then drop in your resume, take their information, and then come, right? Very easy to do. It's not difficult, but willingness to do, and willingness to do it is the thing. Is that think about this, is that a lot of you are minority here. And I know there's some percentage actually says that they're not minority. And a lot of you are minority in here. And some of you will get in without the minority quota. Some of you will get in with the minority quota. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Right? And so you have to work, and we have to work extra hard to get into a position because they don't know us. And people usually are afraid of the things that they don't know. Right? So it's super important. Now let's do an application. Are you ready to do an application? Who wants to do an application with me? ওকে, ঘুমাইতে যাওয়ার আগে লন্ড্রিটা দিয়ে যাব। যে আপা বলছেন, আপনি can you please mute yourself so that
I want to do application now.
You want to do an application now? Okay, so Sister Roxana, okay, so you want to do an application. So we're going to do a demo application, okay? So let's say for a second, this is a job that we want to apply to, right? Health Canada opportunities for person with disabilities. This is a job that we want to apply to. And on your profile, if you apply to so Sister Roxana is going to tell me what should I write in there. Okay. Anybody else wants to partner with Sister Roxana on this journey? One more person? Anybody? We get 33 people, and you're saying that we do not have another strong nerve that is willing to take on the challenge of partnering with Sister Roxana and help us to craft a response.
Okay, that's me.
That's Brother Numan Bashir. Okay, that's awesome. Fantastic. So let's apply to this job. This is a job that is available to everybody, right? It is outside. So we're going to take a look at each of those sections and we're going to apply. So notice, right? It says the information you will be providing in this application must be true, may be verified. Any false and fraudulent information may result in rejection. So you confirm to it when you apply, right? So resume, so one brother questioned me earlier that we have to do it every single time. No, you do not have to do it every single time. Remember, when we came in here, we are prepared now we have our resume prepared. All we have to do is just click in load resume from profile, and your resume is being loaded from profile. If you make any changes while you're at it and you notice, oh my goodness, I did not actually include my last experience, so I'm going to go ahead and change it. Let's say this company actually is not AMA, this company is, let's say, ABC, and I'm going to change it. You have the option to change it only to this application or save resume to application and profile. So I'm not going to save it, but if you click on it, then it will save it to your profile for you to be able to use it in the future. So I'm just going to save it. So I loaded it. My resume is all ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? Because I have done the work already. And I don't have to do it on every single application. I just cut down my processing time by 2 hours or 1 hour, whatever the time that I needed. Screening question is the last thing that I will do. I will come in and take a look at the work location. Sister Roxana, where do you want to work?
Edmonton.
Edmonton. And brother, who else is helping?
Yeah, I'm also in
Numan.
Edmonton.
Brother Numan, where do you want to work?
So in this, can I choose multiple places or
Oh,
the place of
absolutely.
first? Okay, then I will also choose Calgary.
Yes.
Yes.
And you can select other provinces too if you want.
Mhm.
Okay. So I just save it. So that part is done. Employment tenure, I'm a new person. I just came in here from Bangladesh, and I want to make sure that even a casual job, I will take it. So I click in every single thing in here. Now, I'm a government employee. The only thing, and I'm already a permanent employee, the only thing that I would be worried at that time is a permanent employment, right? So I click in, okay, save, done. Classification, we already looked at it, and so I'm going to click in AS3, AS4. Sister Roxana, are you okay with the salary
Yes.
for AS3, AS4?
Yeah.
Or should we go even higher? More money?
Okay. It's okay. Now.
Okay. Brother Numan, are you okay with this, or you want more money?
Well, I'm just slightly curious. So I'm applying for a particular position that is already designated with any of this classification.
Yes. Right?
So then I'll have to look into
Right.
what designation that is and select that if I'm applying
And
for
then
that
select
position.
that. Yes. Okay. So I selected whatever that I wanted to select it. So that part is done. Now, education, because I already selected my profile. In my profile, my education is already there. I don't need to do anything else. I just click on save. My education is done. Language, I only want to consider the English essentials. And so I selected on it and I clicked on save. My language is done. First language is English, advanced, language proficiency, French, none, English, English. Okay, save. And then I can just, I don't know why it's doing it, but anyway, so sometimes it does it. Just a second here. I need to go back. I get lost. I can go to job applications and this will bring me in here. And I'm back to that job again. There is something going on with the language. What is your first language? English. Okay, advanced. Language proficiency. English. Oh, this should save it. Okay, there we go. It saved it. Now, this is the part where a lot of the people think it is such a sin. I should not actually claim myself in minority. You should, if you are a minority, you should always put this option. I wish to complete the self-declaration form for EE groups, employment equity groups. If you have disability, you must also actually complete this. Okay, so I go ahead and select, save. It will bring me in here. It will say appoint process and statistical related. I should select action section like option 1 all the time. Self-declaration, it will ask you, do you identify as a woman, right? So for me, it's no, but Sister Roxana, that's yes for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you an Aboriginal person?
No.
Okay. And no, okay. But if you were, then we don't, that's not, it doesn't affect us. Are you a member of visible minority group? The
Yes.
answer is yes. And if we are India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, right, whatever the country is, you select, you choose that. If you are a disability, you say yes, you're a person with disability, and you select. I really want to emphasize this. For you to be considered in the disability criteria, you need to be certified to have disability. If you do that, you can apply into this criteria. For this particular job, if you have disability, actually, you should apply into this job. Okay, so I selected it. Sorry, employment equity, because this job is in relation to the disability, then I should say, yes, I have disability, and I can say whatever disability that I have, right? I can say dexterity, deaf, mobility, and other disability, right? Learning disability, developmental disability, and I say yes. Okay, I met the criteria. So now I'm going to do the last thing and the most time-consuming thing of this application.
Yes.
Right? And that is to answer all these screening questions. This is where it gets decided that whether you are going to be able to get into the position or not, whether you have the essential skills and essential education. Okay, so Sister Roxana, do you have a secondary school diploma or acceptable combination of education,
Yeah.
training, and experience?
Yes.
How should I write answer to this?
Yes, that is the question. I will write in a paragraph or.
Okay, so first thing is, as soon as you come into this screen, the first thing you should be doing is doing Control A. Doing Control A, select all of this, basically, right?
Oh.
And then go to Microsoft Word. Okay. I want to put the answer in such an error-free. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. I want to make sure that I do not have a lot of errors. I do not have a lot of errors. So I'm going to go ahead and paste it in here, right? And I can take this garbage out about this site, and I could do that during copy, or I could do that right in here. So I don't need that part. Just delete. Okay. Now I am ready to answer. Screening question, topics menu. One of the things that you must always do is that read this, whatever that they're saying. We recommend saving your answer in text editing software, copy and paste them into your job application. Save periodically to avoid losing your work. If you get error message, you must correct the error and save button, right? It will also tell you in that, what they're looking for at times, i.e. when, where, how did you get this? Okay, so it says, do you have, so what should I write in here, Sister Roxana? So it says, if your answer is yes, please explain. If you're claiming an acceptable combination of
I
education,
write it when I get this secondary, because I'll write this. I'll do the names, and then I got from the Bangladesh, like this from there, and this is the 12th grade I finished.
okay.
Also, I can do this here also. This I did the upgrading or.
Okay, yes, all of those are correct. Brother Noman, you want to add something to that?
So I guess I would need to mention which year I finished my secondary school diploma,
Right.
which I did.
So,
If
I write, I
So-
completed.
secondary school diploma in 2008.
Okay, so secondary school diploma in 2008.
And then they're looking for other education. So let's say they're looking for a certificate. I don't recall exactly what their requirements were. So let's assume they require a certificate. So I completed a certificate in 2010.
Right.
So probably
So
a certificate.
let's say for a second, I can write. Let's say for a second, I can write in here. So one of the things I must write from where? I said when, right? So I say
Right.
June of, let's say 2008 from, let's say Dhaka College, right? And I write
Right.
it in there, right? Majoring in, if there were any specialty, right? I write that in.
Secondary is not major anything like science group.
I'm talking about, you're gonna come across you're not gonna have secondary school diploma every single time. You're gonna have university, right? But I'm giving you an example of what you should include in here, right? Majoring in, and I had it. What do you call it? I had my diploma. What is that institute? What is that institute? What is that institute that evaluates?
WIS,
ICAS.
World Education Services, or ICAS in Alberta.
Okay, so ICAS, diploma evaluated by ICAS, right? Right. I write that in there, and then I also write I had 10 years of experience, right? I go ahead and write that in there, work in, blah, 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 right? And then I need to make sure that equivalent, right? So, okay, I worked for Home Depot, right? From this date to this date, in the position, this date to this date, right? Right? Doing this, doing
sorry.
this. Sorry, go ahead.
This have a secondary diploma in there. I'll put everything.
So even if you have it, right? Even if you have secondary diploma, you still want to elaborate on that.
Oh, okay.
On that experience. You know why? Because if somehow they disqualify you on the secondary diploma side, then you still have your experience to go by. They cannot disqualify you on that. Make sense?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Now I get the second question. Do you have experience following operational policies and procedure? Answer is yes. And what should I write, Brother Bashir?
So yes, I'll demonstrate how I had that experience. So I would probably say I worked in Home Depot for 2 years, from let's say 2020 till 2022, and there I was in charge of following the operation, and I'll explain like how that experience.
And then in each of those cases, you will provide 2 examples of your experience. Right? i.e., during my employment, during this time at this place, there will be a lot of repetition. But once you apply to 5 different jobs, on the 6th one, you will find that you don't have to rewrite all this again. You can start to copy and paste it from one job to another job with some minor modification. Because for a job classification, the questions are pretty similar from job to job. Okay? Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you have experience in researching and gathering information? Yes, I have experience from this place to this place, like from this place. Where is the data source? Tell us that you are going to the different data source. You are gathering the information from all those different source database, this system, talking to the customers, right? And then pulling all this information. What software you were using, how you were gathering the information, how you were inputting the information. Provide those details and examples.
Okay, I want to ask one question.
Sure.
But this, do you have like this? I can write this research, this on this researching and giving information from school.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did research for school.
No,
Not
yeah, so
job.
you could write. So let's just say for a second, I give you my example. Let's say for a second I worked at a daycare, and I worked at a daycare, and I actually gathered Okay, so I gathered information about students or the people that the kids and the parents' information. Then I researched on them that who are the best fit for a particular class.
Yeah.
And I used Excel to do that. I used Microsoft Word to do that.
Okay.
Right? And I presented the information to the management. Right? It all how you package and phrase the conversation and frame the conversation. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you have experience providing to the clients one of the following? One, remember, keep in mind how many that they're asking for. If they're asking for 1, give them 2. If they're asking for 2, give them an extra 1, so that in case they disqualify you on 1, you can still be qualified on the other ones. Right? It's very easy. The contact center, I used to take calls from the parents at the daycare center. Right? I used to do administrative tasks at Home Depot. I used to do this in my administrative task. I used to put labels. I used to compile the data of the new employees, blah, blah, blah. And I used to do all of that. Right? Provide examples, provide details that a manager doesn't only take a look at that, because what they're going to do, they're going to look at 500 application and they're going to take, okay, oh, this person doesn't have any example versus this person can articulate what they're talking about. It doesn't matter how little of a job you did. The question is, can you articulate that position and fit it into within what they're asking for? Okay. All right. Do you have experience analyzing and compiling information? right? If you say no to any of this, what they're asking for, what happens? Can anyone answer?
If it's no, then most, because it's a screening
Job is
question.
no.
I think they would even dropped out even before a manager looks into it.
That is correct. If you say no to any of those, your application is dropped out. Why? Who can answer that question other than Brother Numan Bashir and Sister Roxana? We have 32 people here. So,
Because I'm not qualified for that post.
yes, but on which ground you're not qualified for that position?
Doesn't meet the criteria, right?
The requirement.
Not exactly the term that I'm looking for, but who can say the exact term?
It will be
We
screened out by
covered
the
it today
computer.
quite a few times.
It will be screened out by the computer.
I
No,
think I
They
think
want
one
to
of the
know
respondents
how
from
much
chat
I
has
have
the answer.
experience or
you
how
do
to
not
work.
meet the
Essential requirements or qualifications.
essential requirement for this position. Yes, the essential experience and education for this position. Remember, I said you have to meet the essential qualification. You do not meet the essential qualification, you are already booted out.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay, we're all good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you experience providing recommendation and guidance to the clients? It should. Is there anyone here that does not have experience providing recommendation or guidance to clients or management? I want to
no, I think
challenge anyone here who does not have the experience of doing that. I know a lot of people are going to say no, but I want to challenge you that who does not have the experience of doing that? Raise your hand. So there was a question about certificates. I will answer that a little bit later. Does anybody who here does not have the experience of providing recommendation or guidance to clients and management? We all do. Anybody that worked a little bit? We all do. It can be as little as I told them not to go through this back door, to go through the front door. That's a recommendation. So think critically what is being asked and how you can fit your things to the job. Okay? Do you have experience in delivering services or programs to the general public? Who doesn't have the experience of doing that? Anybody that did any job? We all do. Okay? So when you see the application, don't just automatically say, oh, I don't have the experience, so I'm not going to apply to it, or just say no. Okay. Now, are you interested in English essential position? Yes. Are you interested in bilingual positions? In most cases, it will be no. You don't want to be in a bilingual position, but unless you're already bilingual. Do you have experience providing financial administration support? Sure, right? Did you help your manager to keep track of the receipts? That's financial support. Did you help your manager to keep track of expenses? That's financial support. So it's a matter of, so now I wrote all of those answers that I needed to write. What I will do now is that I will just go ahead. The only thing I will do, okay, I check the mistakes and so forth, right? I had my spouse, I went to my spouse and say, hey, you know what? I've been working at it for like last 2 hours. My eyes are not seeing the mistakes. Can you read it and make sure that it's okay? Right? I come to my spouse. I have a very lovely wife or husband, right? Or lovely wife. Have to be careful what I say nowadays. you know, and she takes a look at it and she says, okay, you made this mistake, I go ahead and correct mistake. Okay, my wife or my, you know, my spouse doesn't have time for me, so I give it to, you know, a friend of mine. Hey, can you take a look at it? You have a little bit more experience. Okay, they come back, oh, change this phrasing. Okay, so once I'm done, and I started the process way early, I didn't wait for the last couple of days, right? Now I have the time to do it. I'm fairly confident in the application that I'm putting in. I'm just going ahead and copying it, and I'm just going to go ahead and post it right in here. So yes, the answer is yes, and I just go ahead and at this time I'm just posting it, right? Yes, 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 and I'm post it, and then I submit it. I save it, right? Sorry, just a second. So I save it, and what happens, it's not going to let me save it because I didn't do the complete work. Oh, sorry, just a second here. My job applications. Yeah. Right in here. So once I did it, I just hit submit application, and there it goes. Does anybody have any question thus far? Comments, concern?
Just I have a question, so because here is a qualifications that needed for secondary school qualifications, but in most cases we are attend here, we are already graduated and post-graduated. That in that scenario, we can upload our experience about the secondary educations. That means I can add it for graduated and post-graduated, that is evaluated from World Education Service, OS. Then I can put down here, write down here.
Yes, yes. So you will put in your university the highest degree that you have.
Okay.
Right? But certificate you don't have to put in at this stage. I will tell you where that. I'll come to that when you get to provide that certificate. But you will put in a statement. I have a degree. I have an undergrad degree from Bangladesh, Dhaka University, or from Delhi, right? From this university. And then, you know, I had it evaluated through IQS and okay, so you will put it in there. There was 2 other people that raised hand. Saifur. So let's go in order. Saifur. Saifur, you're on mute. So.
Sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
Okay, so it's probably hand from before. Okay.
No, my apologies. Yeah.
No, okay. Numan Bashir, you had your hand raised?
So, yeah, so I was just wondering, because I don't see a section for cover letter now. Is that for job, the job application form does not require a cover letter, or everything has to be whatever we typically include in a cover letter, we include it on the screening questions?
Whatever you put in the cover letter, you put basically in the screening questions. Yes. No cover letter. What a beauty. I spent hours and hours crafting one cover letter when I was in the private sector.
Right. And then just a bit of a comment regarding like one of the previous thing, like from my experience, because I came as a new immigrant here, and when I was applying for jobs, I was applying for jobs that required high school graduate, diploma, and I was overqualified. So in those cases, my personal experience was by underlying or not understating my qualification did well for me in finding my initial jobs.
Yes, in some cases you're going to have to do that. Let's say for a second you have a PhD degree, and we know quite a bit of people actually that went through the same issue. Let's say you have a PhD, and now last 10 years you didn't work because you were raising child, your wife was working, whatever the case was, right? Whatever the reason was, or you were struggling with your mental health and whatever the issue is, and now you're ready to go back to work. What happens is that after 10 years, if you go with your PhD, right, just put in your master's degree or put in your undergrad degree. If they're looking for high school, there is no point of putting all of that in there. But if they're looking for undergrad degree, I would definitely actually put it in there. Okay, so Gani, you have a question?
Yeah. So do you have any recommendation about the resume, like how long it can be, how many pages or something like that?
To be honest with you, those who tell you if you the number of pages is only relevant to when you are a new graduate. Okay, new graduate from school. If you are an experienced person, your resume can go as long as 3 pages. If you are, but the question is not actually how long is your resume. The question is how well you have documented your experience. If you have a lot of redundancy, if your resume is a result of a lot of redundancy and so forth, I would cut those down. And you also have to sometimes think that, okay, I started dropping all of my experience from 15 years. Like I'm keeping it last like 15 years or so. That's a pretty good indication. Unless I'm applying to a position and the job that I held actually was so important and relevant to the position that I'm applying to. Nadia.
That's what I was trying to get. Like, do we really need? Because I have seen like people are using 23 pages long resume, but do you really need it? Like 3 or 4 pages
in government job, to be honest with you, if you have 23 pages, if you have more than 4 or 5 pages, actually you're most likely somewhere in you probably were in academia, and you wrote references and references and references. Those are very irrelevant in the government job.
Okay, thank you.
Right, Nadia.
Yes, please. I have just a quick question. Actually, I tried to set up the email alerts in my account, but I couldn't find job classifications, because you did show this slide on one of the slides at the beginning of the presentation, and it did show you the classifications where you could choose the job classification. But in my case, I am not able to see that option.
What is your what profession are you in?
I put in the job title as administrative,
Right.
but it's not giving me the classification. Is that the reason why?
No, I will take a look at it right after. Okay.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
All right. Basu.
Yeah, I have a quick questions. That is, there is no options for reference. For example, because in previous I heard in government job you have 2 or 3 reference you have to put down.
Yes. So in some application, those are very rare, by the way. Like probably 10% of the jobs where they will ask you to put references right in the application. Right. In 90% of the jobs, they will not ask you for the reference right away. They will wait until they get through the exams, interviews, and at interview they will ask you to bring the references.
Okay, thank you. Just another question, because in my back home country, I am an agriculturist, but how does it fit if I goes to in any secondary school certificate that required secondary school certificate positions, but it will be get worthy there to get a call from the interviewer, because I am a different technical, for example, as I am agriculturist, but other professions, for example, engineering or medical, they would get a call from such type of applications if they apply.
Sure, absolutely. If you're willing to do the job, and if you meet the criteria, essential qualification of that job, you may be overqualified, but they know that overqualified people are applying for a job that are beneath them. But it may be worthy for you to do that if you're already struggling to get into a position. Yes, because once you get into the position, then you can venture into whatever field that you're in.
Okay, thank you.
Tanuja. Tanuja, you're on mute.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, yes, you are.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Please, may I ask, if I apply for 2 different positions in 2 different departments or 2 different estates and whatever, and maybe one is finance, one is administration. Okay. So I would definitely put two different types of resume in two different places. Say for finance, I am putting another type of resume that says about me, about my qualifications or experiences in finance, and I put another resume for administrative job that highlights my administrative qualities.
Not necessarily. So what I would always keep my resume, like I
Same.
applied to different positions. I would always keep my resume in my primary target area and then
Okay.
apply to other jobs keeping the same resume. And the only difference I would make is instead of putting, I'm looking for a finance job on that first line, I would put a senior level or a administrative level public servant position.
Okay.
Right? So you saw where I actually put that in there. I would put in. Sorry, I need to. So I'm just going to switch my actual microphone because my battery is running out on the computer. So give me 1 sec, please. Okay, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, perfectly
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the sound may be a little bit not as good as it has been because I was on a microphone, but anyway, we can continue. So I would always keep, so I'm a finance guy, so I always keep my resume finance, and then when I'm applying for the other jobs, then I just put in actually I'm looking for a public servant position. That's it.
I have another question.
Yes.
Is there anything? I didn't see the type, so just out of curiosity, I'm asking that is there anything like project finance specifically?
You would still actually get into finance position and then venture into a project finance position. But government finance is quite a bit different, right? So significantly different actually than the private sector because it's PSAS and then we're regulated by the FAA or Financial Administration Act, and then the project within I mean, it may have many similar characteristics, but the financing, what do you call it? The actual work of it is different.
Okay. For this government type of
So we're going to take, we have quite a bit to go. We're going to take 2 or let's say 3 more questions, and then we will venture into the remainder of the presentation. And then if there is any question, we will do it at the end. Okay. So Mahapara, sorry.
Yes, hi, Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me? Yeah, so I wanted to ask that at the beginning you said something about having a PR. So are these jobs like only people with permanent residency can apply, or?
That is a great question. In almost 92 to 95% of the jobs will require you to have PR or citizenship. However, there are those 7 or 8% job where you can work with work permit, especially in a casual position.
All right, thank you. I also wanted to ask that how long do you recommend the resume of a fresh graduate be?
Page and a half, right?
Okay,
I would
yeah.
put in,
Thank you.
I would be very invested in joining clubs, joining not-for-profits, right? Well, this is where one of the biggest mistake immigrant students make is that they think I'm going to study and rightfully so, because you have to work and you have to support yourself and so forth. But the getting involved in not-for-profit, getting involved in charity activities, getting involved doing those things, it actually, and also for a student who is graduating, right, I would put the education first, not the experience. Whereas a highly educated person would put the education first. Take a look at what your strength in the application is. If your experience is the strength, put that first. If your education is the strength, put that first.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Shabana.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
My question is regarding resume writing. So how far should I go back? Like I'm here like for 12 years. Should I add something I got back home like before 12 years or more?
If you have enough experience in North America to give the person a complete picture of who you are as an employee, I wouldn't go to Bangladesh. But if your experience is very limited here, or you have, let's say, experience serving in C-level positions, like, CFO, CEO, chief marketing officer, chief, all of those, that is so essential to showcase your skill set, that only in those cases I would use it.
Okay, you mean like if something very, very relevant I had from back home, it's
Right.
Okay. And I have another question.
So just to give you an example, let's say for a second you were applying to a security position here, and you served in the Bangladesh police, right? That's a super relevant experience, and I would use that.
Okay, thank you for this. And I have a second question, like various language requirements. I know like bilingual, if I am not expert with French, but I have other language proficiency like Bengali, Hindi, or some other languages.
No, what that means, what that means, the various language profiles, what that means is it has English essential, it has French essential, and it also has the bilingual imperative and non-imperative. So you should, as a immigrant not knowing French, you should apply to those positions, because that will have some positions. So they may be recruiting for 10 positions, and 2 positions may be English essential. So you should apply for those.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Atik.
Yeah, just regarding sister questions. If I upload 2 resumes for 2 different job or similar job, if they're gonna search on their system, my profile or my resume, they can see all of them, or just particular related to the job?
A hiring manager and recruiter only will take a look at the resume that you uploaded for that position. But there is a but in there. But having to put different resumes every single time will slow you down and will demotivate you in your application process. Makes you less efficient. I would put resume in such a way so that my target positions are addressed through the resume. But more or so, my preliminary target is addressed.
So not to apply more than one better, or waiting, then you don't know.
No, you can apply. You can apply as many positions. In fact, I encourage you to apply a lot of positions. But the idea of changing resume every single time, it is not efficient. I would make a more generic resume and then apply with that. Like my resume, a good example, my resume is a finance resume. But the only thing that I change, it depends actually. So it depends on what is the biggest question that I need to ask when you ask me that question, is that are you applying to a senior level position? And what that means, generally speaking, is the pay for that position more than $75,000? If the answer is yes, then you probably want to, do a little bit of customization.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question? It doesn't? If it doesn't, I can. So you only want to do that level of customization. Let's say for a second, you're applying for an executive position. At that time, those become super important. But if you're applying for a entry and mid-level positions, I would just actually have one resume and apply with that resume. I would spend that time to craft the screening questions Make sense, brother?
Yes, thank you very much, brother.
Okay, all right, let's get back. I think, we had a lot of questions, and those were all great questions. Now, let's get into exam. Did any of you write any exam, actually? So just, are we in, is it time for Asr prayer? In the East Coast, it is probably time for Asr prayer. So
in Ottawa, it is.
yes, it is. So it is time for Asr prayer, and also in the Mountain Time and in the Central, it is time for Dhuhr, I think. So let's take 5 to 7
Not
minutes.
yet. Dhuhr.
Not yet?
Not yet.
What time? Like, what time is your prayer over there?
After 12:50 or
12:50. So we can wait 15 minutes then. That's fine. And then we'll take a break. That way everybody will be, you guys will be able to do your Dhuhr, and then we'll be able to do our.
I think you need for yourself also break. You are running almost 1.5 hours more than 2.5 hours. So break will be good for everybody.
I think I just do another 15 minutes, then we can take a break.
Yeah, then we'll take a break about 15-20 minutes. Sure. Okay, sounds good. Okay. Someone actually said that you just came in. Someone just actually joined and said that did not know. And so on the comment section, there is a registration and a link, if you go up enough, and then just register, and then I'll send you the link for the what do you call it? Some of the resources that I have actually pointed to everybody. But remain okay. We'll cover that. We'll try to do more sessions. It's for the benefit of the community. So hopefully we'll be able to do more of these sessions, inshallah. All right. One of the things that happens in government is that you get to write an exam, and it doesn't matter actually whether you are a PhD, someone with PhD, or someone an executive, or someone. Government wants to make sure that there is a process in place by which, out of the many applicants, they're filtering some applicants that meets the basic qualification. And to do that, these exams are done. Now, these exams are greatly tied into what I showed you earlier, which is the competencies, right? Where did we cover the competency? Let's go back in here. So you always have to take a look at, as soon as you get this email, right? And they're going to tell you what competency they're going to cover. If they don't tell you on that email what competency they're going to cover, they're also going to have that actually on the what do you call it, on the job posting itself. Take a look at the competency, find one of the dictionary that are readily available on the web for different departments, right? And take a look at, okay, what are the questions that they likely are going to ask me? Obviously, if you're a finance person, they're going to ask you some technical questions, and in most cases, you can just breeze through those technical questions. If you're an engineer, right, technical questions are great. But in those technical questions, they're going to ask you some of those, they're going to assess some of those behavioral competencies. If you are a mid-level and senior level position, right, in most cases, they're going to ask you to write something. And that written response, they're going to take a look at, how well you are doing on the written response, whether, you're writing briefing notes, how good they're basically assessing your written communication. If you, in fact, I met with a brother, actually, the brother that I've been working with actually for a long time, for last 6-7 years, and I was reading something that he wrote yesterday, and I just commented on it that, if you were a public servant, right, the people will be fighting to take you. He's such a good writer. So developing good writing skills is essential. But when you are doing that, you also have to be conscientious of the way that you're communicating that, right? A tool that is often used within the government to communicate anything that we write is briefing notes. Take time to learn how to write briefing notes. Maybe sometime in the future, inshallah, if everything allows, if the opportunity allows, we will provide how to write, briefing notes and so forth. But briefing notes are super important because it is very methodical, well structured, and it allows you to present the information in the way that the reader needs to read it. But one thing that I want to really hone on is that don't ever forget what you are being tested on. Sometimes they may give you, in fact, this is about 3 years ago. On a Monday or Tuesday, I get an email from a department and says, you are writing this problem set and you're writing a briefing memo to the minister. And gave me the weekend to write that. It seems very simple to write that, but it is not. So on that weekend, I worked like 17, 18 hours to write that memo. And I thought that I wrote such a wonderful memo, right? And guess what? I didn't even get a call. I was just told that I was yanked out. Why? Because I was not focused on understanding actually how I should present the information and what the information that they're looking for. So always come back to the job description, or not the posting, always come back what they're testing you on, and then organize your thoughts, right? If you are being asked to write about, let's say, adaptability, make sure that you bold it, right? The need for flexibility, right? Or the courses of action, right? Write that in such a way so that the reader, when they're reading it, right, they know that you're hitting each of those points that they're looking for. Does anybody have any question on that? No? Okay. So exams are going to be given to you. In some cases, you may not get an exam. Nowadays, all exams are remote, or almost all exams, unless some manager wants to show up and doesn't have a lot of things to do at home. But they may ask you to come in person, but like 98% of all the exams are given to you and you just do it. So the caution that I would give you is, don't wait. If you are given the whole weekend, don't wait until the Sunday night to start your assignment. Because I'm telling you, in almost all cases, it will take more time than you expect it to be. So start at the beginning. If you get done early, enjoy Sunday, right? And take the time. In a lot of the times, you will get 1 hour, 2 hour notice. You will be told that you will get at 11 o'clock on Monday morning, you will expect this exam, and they will just email it to you, and you have that time. In very rare cases, and these are especially for the PM positions and so forth, you may get an email where they will ask you to go to a third-party site and write the exam on the third-party site. About 6-7 years ago, I was told to write an exam for a PM position actually on a third-party site. And I went onto the site and I said, oh, this is fantastic. I can write this, but why am I going to write in this text editor? I'm just going to write it in Microsoft Word so that I don't make any mistake. I had the grammar software on my computer and I basically wrote it in there and it's perfect. When I went to paste it, right, it wouldn't allow me, because that test is designed for you to write it without any outside tools. So here I spent this 2 hours actually writing this wonderful thing. And then when I went to actually put it on the system, and I couldn't do it. So know that if you are being redirected to an external party, keep those constraints in mind. Okay, any question? Okay, I think it is a good time before we get into the interview. It is a good time to take a break. Let's take about right now it's 11:43. Sorry, 12:43 Edmonton time or Mountain Standard Time. It's 2:43. Let's come back in 25 minutes. Let's take about 25 minutes break. Let's do all of our salah and then do whatever else that we need to do. And then we'll come back in 25 minutes and we'll do the remainder of the session, inshallah. Before we break though, does anybody have any question, concern, anything?
Yeah, just I have a quick question. So because the exams, that means when I get a exam questions, that means that I passed the preliminary steps. That means the scrutiny that that's why I passed. Then they will provide me exam questions.
Correct. Yeah, you passed the initial screening.
Okay. Just
does that answer? Does that answer your question?
Yeah. But please, you can repeat just what will be the focus area if when I write down my exam questions, the focus area of the jobs, roles and responsibilities of this particular jobs, or
so they will test you on your, whether you have the essential skill you said you have. That means for an engineer, they can ask you to solve a problem. For a finance folk, they can ask you to, solve a budgetary problem. For a, nurse, they may ask you something medical, right? So that's the technical aspect of it. They'll also test you on the competencies that they put on the poster. And in almost all of the exam, they will write in there that what are they testing you on. Okay, two questions. Let's just a second. I need to see actually who. Okay, Shavana, yes. Shavana, you're on mute. Okay, Nadia. Nadia, you have your hand raised. Did you want to ask a question?
Yes, please. Just a question for entry level. Do they also have exams or not?
They may not have exam. So just to be perfectly clear, a manager does not have to have an exam. Okay, exam is a tool that is available to a manager to assess whether you meet the essential qualification. A manager can run it from the screening to all the way to interview directly. If the manager is convinced, let's say for a second, they want to hire administrative staff and they want to hire 10 people, only like 5 people applied, right? A manager can bypass the whole exam and then just go directly to the interview, or even bypass the interview and just say, come and work with us actually on a term position or a casual position. Those are at the discretion. These exams and interviews are means to managers to assess that whether you fit the essential qualification for that position and reduce the number of application to a manageable size, because they're not able to interview 100 people if 100 people applied.
Okay, another question if you don't mind.
Sure, please.
For French imperative, as you mentioned, how do we get the job like that?
French non-imperative or imperative?
You mean non-imperative means like you join first and then you can learn French on the go, right?
Right. So those will require networking in many cases.
Oh, so I have to send an email that is mentioned at the bottom of the job description, mentioning that that's
Yeah,
the position.
send an email, right, and find out who the manager is, right? I will show you some techniques actually that you could do towards the end. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, awesome. So this is a good time for a break. Let's take about actually let's now 20 minutes. Let's take about 20 minutes break, and then inshallah we'll get back and we'll continue. Jazakallah khair, everybody. And Deepa, you had a question.
Yeah, could you please give me the registration link? That
It's
what is that?
it's on the chat. So if you go on the chat, up on the chat, right up, actually there is a registration link in there. It says that if you didn't register, please register at the following address.
I don't find it.
Okay, here. Let's do this one more time. There we go. Do you see what the chat is?
No, I don't find.
Okay, here. If you take a look at it on your screen, you will see this. Are you seeing my screen?
Wait. Yeah, I can see the screen. It is written interview, question before the exam, competency map, star.
Right. So if you take a so there is a button, there is a chat button in there. In the bar, there is a black bar, and the black bar, it has a chat function in there. And if you click on the chat, it will bring you to the chat link.
Yeah, it's a participant. It is in the Zoom.
Yes.
So there is a chat. So I open the chat and I find nothing. I find this one, that if the question is for Shabana to everyone.
Okay, here.
I
Let's
don't-
do everyone in the meeting. Sorry, I may have here. Do you see? No?
Now it is seen here.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's complete that and then let's meet in about 20 minutes, inshallah, and then we'll take it from there. Are we all back? Are we all ready to go again? Is it 20 minutes already?
Never left.
Okay, that's good. Awesome. Let's do this then. Okay, but can I get a thumbs on the chat? Can I get a thumbs up, everybody? Or yeah, on reaction too. If you give a thumbs up, then I know most of the people are here and we can continue. All right. Looks like we're all ready to go. So we now actually come into the one of the most fascinating part of the whole process. I like it when it comes to the interview. Is everybody back? Mostly? Okay, so when personally, actually, when I come to the interview is I find that the rather easy part. The more frustrating part actually is I found to be the filling out all those application and then going through the exams and all of that. Now in the interview, now you have a chance to show actually who you are, right, and what you are capable of. And you're able to some certain extent, you're able to make an assessment of the individual, the hiring manager and so forth, the environment and so forth. I mean, nowadays, a lot of the interviews are virtual, so that makes it a little bit difficult, but it's still, you know, you have a little bit more control. Excuse me. You have more control than you had before. How many of you, can I get a raise of hand? How many of you have been in a government interview? How many of you, okay, let's do it the other way. How many of you have never been in a public service interview? How many of you have never been in a public service interview? Okay. Never been in a public service interview. Okay. All right. So let's start with actually what to expect. You know, once you pass the exam, they send you a mail. You can take your hands down if you so you know, they send you a mail saying that okay, on such and such date you're going to have an interview and so forth. And on that email, something very fascinating that happens, and a lot of people miss this, and I want to really point out to that. On that email, they also, in almost many cases, they will email the manager that is going to be doing the interview. Now, this is not going to be always the person that you're going to be reporting to if he were to hire for that position. But you know, even if that person is there, it's usually going to be a panel. It's not usually one person, or it will be, you know, 2 or more people that are going to be in that panel, the interview panel. And when you get that email, the one thing I ask you to do is take a look at the email and see if you can decipher the name that comes in that email. If you can decipher the name, one of the resources that you can take advantage of is, unless it is for RCMP or National Defense, which they're not listed on this, type in GEDS 2.0 on Google, and it says Government Electronic Directory Services. If you go in there and you can search for that person, right? So let's say for a second, I'm going to search my name, Islam, and I'm going to search it, and it will show all the Islams that are in there. Okay, it will show that the position that person is in.
Sorry to interrupt. Are you intending to sharing your screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, let's go back. So when you get that email, find out that email and go to google.ca and type in GEDS 2.0. In Bangladesh, we call it gadget, but so this is Government Electronic Directory Services. Click in 2.0, and once you go in there, you can type in that person's name, let's say the last name or first name, whatever, and it will show you all the Islams that are available in a portfolio where they can publish names. Obviously, there are portfolio where they cannot publish names. Okay. So make a note of that person. Let's say for a second, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at, okay, who is a senior person? Let's pick a name. let's say this is a system analyst and this is the person that is going to interview you. Just to do my homework, so that I can do a little bit of homework, I can go in and I can do LinkedIn and I can see if this person exists or not. Okay, so let's say for a second, I find that this is the person. Obviously, it is not the person. This is the person we're looking at. I'm going to take a look at their experience, see which college that they came from, right? Which workplaces that they worked in, what is their specialty, and so forth. And I will have that in my mind. So this is pre-interview homework that I will be doing on every single interview. See if I can get an interview information of the person who is going to be doing the interview. I can also go in there and I can say, okay, I'm going to take a look at the Facebook and I'm going to see if this person is available. What ticks this person? What is the passion for this person? Okay, or this person, okay, this person likes, ocean, or, they have a daughter, right? So I will make a mental note of that information, that this is who is going to be interviewing me. And then I will try to channel that information during my interview, right? If this person has a daughter and I have a daughter, right? During the ice-breaking session when I meet, right, I would somehow bring my daughters and then, just chat with real quick, not a long conversation, right? If this person plays soccer, right, I would, somehow try to bring that information in there. If this person is a specific, programmer in a certain language, and then I would bring that information actually right in there somewhere. So that's doing a little bit of homework, right? This will also tells me how this person thinks and how this person, in a lot of cases and so forth. And I will always have that in the back of my mind as I walk into the interview. That is, get to know the person who is interviewing you. In almost all cases in government, when they are giving you an exam, they will give you the question and then they will give you some time, 15-20 minutes, and then they will come back and they will start the interview. In some cases, they may not give you, but I would say about 90-95% of the time that they will give you that information. We covered this topic already a few times. You always have to go to the competency. What is the competency that you are being tested on? By now, in that interview process, before you came to that interview, you already did your exam. You already did your screening first and then your exam. Now you're at the interview and you know basically what are the things that they're asking for. Let it be conflict management, let it be interpersonal skill, and so forth. And as soon as I get that question that they're going to be interviewing on, I make some quick notes. What are the points that I need to touch? Because they're not really doing a whole bunch of different things. It's the same competency that they're really covering. So, and I make a note of it. And then I put that note in the format of a star. Who knows the star method other than Numan Bashir and Roxana? Who else wants to go in? Who knows the star method? Let's participate a little bit. Saifur, okay, what is the star method?
So this is basically giving the example from your own experience, but writing it in such a way that you first talk about the situation where you are in. So then you say, what are the exact tasks that you have been doing, or what was your exact role? And then you say, what are the actions that you took to handle the task or to handle the situation? And then at the end, you talk about the results. So these are STAR. So that is the method, I believe.
Wonderful. Thank you. Very well explained. So basically, I'm taking this 3 or 4 questions that I need to answer. I have to be conscientious that, the total interview, if total interview is hour and a half, then 20 minutes is given to me to write my answers and articulate my answers. And, I'm left alone in the room, or I'm given in front of the computer. Don't make the mistake, even if you're in front of the computer, don't make the mistake of leaving and inviting someone. No. From this point on, you have taken enough preparation, have that confidence in yourself, and you're all ready to go. So now, I took the competencies and what I need to cover in those competencies to have a well-articulated answer. And then I'm going to put that in the star format. So basically, what was the situation? What task did I do? And what action? Situation, task. Sorry, what was the situation? What is the task at hand? And what is the action that I took? And what is the results that I achieved? Right? Put that in that format. Now, I'm ready for that interview. But be conscientious of that time. If you have 3 questions, you have 1 hour. You need to make sure that you take the 27 minutes, 20 or whatever the time frame is, 20 minutes, right? Don't keep going and going. If you already touched all the points, and if it is 10 minutes, okay, let's finish it, because they will give you an opportunity to come back to that question again. They will tell you at the end that, okay, do you want to add anything else? While you are giving those answers, unlike private sector, where they're looking at your face and they're looking at your body language, they're looking at everything. In this case, they are frantically writing, actually 2 or 3 people, they're frantically writing everything that you are saying. So you need to make sure that you hit all the points in your competency, and you articulated that in a format that is understandable to them. And STAR method is mostly, it is used, all across government. So, okay. And then what to expect is, expect that they're going to and when you are talking, don't, keep going at a, 200-kilometer speed, right? Give them the time to write, because they're writing as you're speaking. And so if you see that, they're struggling to write down, right, slow down, right? And that shows that you are being considerate of their situation. And you can even say, oh, allow me to slow down. Do I need to slow down? Do you want me to slow down, right? And always have that smile on your face while you do that. And when you do that, they're going to write, and they're going to ask you at the end of the interview that, or if you're done early. If you're not done early, they're going to cut you off exact that 1 hour mark, because they want to give the fair opportunity and same opportunity to everybody. But if you are finished early, they will give you an opportunity to go early. And then they will ask you, do you have any questions? In most cases, you should not ask at all the compensation question. The only question that the type of question that you can ask literally is, if you ask a compensation question, that means you didn't do your homework, because by collective agreement, you should already have an idea that what is the pay for that position, right? What are the type of work that you will be doing, right? It already has in the job posting. The things that generally that you can ask is that how soon they are looking forward to hire, right? What is the time frame that they're looking at to finalize the application, right? What is the challenge that most people faces, most new employees faces in their work environment? These are some good questions. What are the things that new employees enjoy most in the first 6 months in their work setting, right? These are the things that you can ask, but don't ask the compensation question, the leave question and all of those at this point in time. Does anybody have any question in the interview section? Saifur, you have your hand raised. Is that legacy hand raised or? Saifur, do you have a question? No, okay. How about I think Ghulam Murshid?
Yes, please. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Would you please go back to that Google search and the way you search the name, the Islam there? I'd just like to
Okay,
see the
yeah.
process there. Thank you.
So you can just go into google.ca. Okay. I can do many things. So let's say for a second. So the first thing I do, GEDS 2.0, I'm in here, right? I don't know anybody. So someone asked me earlier that, I want to get into casual employment, but they're not advertised. If I'm in their situation, excuse me, I'll just do a general search. Let's say Islam. I do the search. I'm coming here. I'm going to click on this. This is the department. Okay. So I'm going to click on this department. Now I have the department in here. But what I can do, I can backtrack by going into Canada. I can go to A, which is all the department that starts with A, Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. I can see all the managers that are available. Let's say for a second, I want to be in the program branch. I can see who are the managers that are available, and I can actually click in there and I can see their email, and I can send an email of an interest that I have for a position. Right? I can do many things in here. I can go in here. I can also let's say go to, let's say for a second, this is a compensation advisor and I want to apply for a job, and I can pick an email. This is not a management personnel, but I can say, hey, I'm looking for this compensation job. Do you have any advice for me? Right? And I send an email. Or I'm in Ottawa. I know this person is in Ottawa. Do you have a few minutes we can meet for a coffee and where you can give me some advice? Right? Don't ask for a job. Right? Don't ask for a job when you're doing cool things like that. At least wait until 1 or 2 emails, right? I'm a new graduate. I'm thinking about doing this, right? What do you think? Right? And then, 1 email, 2 email, a few months later, hey, I wanted to touch base with you and see, do you have any positions available? Here is my resume. Right? And maintain those relationships. Go back every now and then and find out how they're doing. Try to find out what ticks them, right? And these are the individuals that are going to run into the managers and say, hey, I have this great individual, very energetic and so forth. And this individual actually I think is going to be a great asset for our team. Okay? You're good? Saifur, you have your hands up. Do you have a question or it's a legacy hand?
Oh, sorry, it was legacy. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any question? No. Okay. Oh, good. That's awesome. All right. Now let's do an interview. We get to do an interview live. I'm going to give everybody about 7 minutes. I'm going to give everyone 7 minutes. Take a piece of paper, and you are being tested on values and ethics, conflict management, and initiative. These are the interview questions. Tell us a time when you had conflict with a colleague and what did you do? Tell us a time when you had to deal with the ethical issue and how did you deal with it? Tell us a time when you took an initiative and what did you do and what was the outcome? Let's take about 7 minutes, right now 29. So about 1:37 Edmonton time, which is 3:37 3:37 Eastern time. In about 7 minutes, we're going to come back and we're going to look at your answers. So remember, you have to look at the competency. You have to touch every point. This is an interview question I have given you. We're gonna come back and we're gonna discuss what are you going to put together? Okay? Everybody good? Yes, I want everyone to open up their microphone and say yes. Let's bring some energy into this room.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
This is how much
Yes.
energy left. I'm doing most of the work. Why is you sound so drained?
Hi, I would like to say something.
Yes.
The thing is that you gave us like google.ca, and then did you type to get that website?
GEDS 2.0.
Okay.
George, Echo, David, Sierra 2.0.
GEDS
2.0.
2.2. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so 7 minutes. Okay, we come back and we will discuss what you prepared. Yes, who wants to go? Let's see, which brave soul wants to go? Someone new. Someone new, someone who has not spoken yet. It's time to do interview. No, Sister Roxana, you already went. If you have a question, we will talk about the question in just a minute. But let's finish this part first. Brother Numan Bashir already went. Who else wants to go? Someone new. Can anyone hear me? So yes, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So who wants to go? 2 people. If you don't come forward, then I'm going to pick you. Again, here's an opportunity. Opportunity going once. Opportunity going twice. Opportunity going 3 times. Okay, is MD Sharif there? Brother Sharif. How about Mike Muqtadir? You guys have promised that you will not unmute yourself? How about Naziha?
Well, yep. Okay, so for the question on the conflict, so
Yes.
one instance
So
that
first of all,
I-
how would you go about walk us through your thought process? How
Mhm.
do you go about figuring out what they're looking for?
So I think the first step would be to look through the competency website just to see specifically which ones they're looking for, with like maybe conflict resolution, I think there maybe ethical issue management or something, like looked for the keywords in
Right.
that competency website.
Okay,
And
so
then,
let's do that.
Mhm.
So we're going to do 3 examples of those. So let's do that. So we're going in here and we're going to take a look at conflict management. Right? Is that what you did?
Yes.
Okay, and then what am I doing?
And so first, just quickly reading through the key points of each one, and then first, or also thinking of an example that
Right.
may be similar, that would match what is happening, and then making the statement while addressing these keywords, and
Right.
then sending that to the interviewer.
Beautiful. So basically, what you said is basically what it is, because when you went into that interview, you already know what you're being tested on, and one of the things that you're being tested on is conflict management, and you know that you need to hit these points in there, right? All this noticing conflicts, you recognize that there is a conflict and respect others' point of view, right? Bring it to the attention to the appropriate individual, and then professionally addressing conflicts as it happens, reducing and resolving conflict in a proactive manner, promoting conflict management and resolution, right? Take all of those, and then you're going to actually hit each of those points in your example, right? So let's listen to, would you mind sharing what you wrote or what you thought of? We
Mhm.
probably didn't give you enough time, but what did you thought of how to best answer this question?
Right. So one of the examples I came up with was when I had a conflict with like a teammate, and we had different approaches to solving this case study problem, and this was under a time, like a limited time frame as well. And so in order to address this conflict, I took a step back because I know emotions were getting high during the back and forth. And then I decided to like listen to the person's idea. I also mentioned my idea. And then I tried to facilitate a conversation where both ideas could be incorporated to find a solution to the problem.
Right. So if you were the interviewer, and in that interview I said, but I was right, how would you feel as the interviewer?
As in the other person that I was speaking to was right?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Well, so if you are talking to an interviewer, let's say for a second, you are an interviewer and I'm answering this question and I'm telling in my answer, yeah, but the other person was wrong and I was right. Right? Can you say that?
No, you shouldn't. I don't think you should be like
Right.
pointing it out like that. Just say both had ideas and like keep it a bit more vague.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the question where a lot of the times actually people fail, because we don't know how to manage conflict. I mean, those who are originated from Bangladesh, right? We love conflict and we like to be right? But at a workplace, the conflict management is significantly different. The conflicts are good for us, actually, provided that we know how to resolve those conflicts and how to deal with those conflicts in an effective manner. Anything else you would like to share? That was a great example, by the way.
No, that's it.
Okay. Who would like to go with the ethical issue and how did you deal with it? How do you first tell us, how do you go about looking at this question? We're going to repeat this so that it becomes second nature to you, how to think. Who wants to go? Okay, I'm calling names. Just a second here. Mahfara Mullik.
Yes, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. So yeah, the same way we are gonna get into the
Okay, but I want you to
attributes
repeat
of the
it so
ethical
that
issue.
everybody sees it.
Okay, so let's get into the ethical issues tab and see what there are.
Okay, so we go to where? We
On
go
the
to the
website
competency
side.
dictionary, right?
Yep.
So we go to the competency dictionary and we take it. What are we looking for?
Values and ethics.
Values and ethics. Okay, there we go. And in this,
read through the whole thing.
Right. In this, what do we need? So these are the things that we need to touch. And it says that understand the respect of public service values. Where do we get that?
That we understand what are the basics of ethics. The
Yeah, but
basic
what are
manners
the,
and all.
it says understand and respect the public service values. Where do we get that?
I don't know.
Ah, look at that.
IRCC Code of Conduct?
Yes, you can get that because this is the IRCC competency dictionary, but you can also just go in and Google Government of Canada, right? Values, and it will tell you what are the values and ethics of Government of Canada. A second here. Statement of values. There we go. Respect for democracy, respect for people, integrity, stewardship, excellence. Now, while we're on this topic, right, and we know from our experience, either here or back home, that democracy is the most wonderful thing that has happened to the humanity. And should we discuss our love and respect? Love and respect for democracy open on the Facebook page, and we're looking for either we're a public service employee or we're looking to get into public service. Should we do that? No? Yes?
Oh.
Yeah, we shouldn't do that because as a public servant, right, we need to be very careful, or trying to get into public servant, you know, we need to be very careful what we express and how we express on the Facebook pages, on the social media and so forth. Okay. Especially the higher you go. Okay. So we're good. So what is an example that you have?
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Could you please go back to your Google page? How do you get that page? I went by myself, so.
Well, get which page?
Okay, objectives. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
worries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move it on. Sorry. Right here we were. Okay. So the same thing goes for initiative 2, right? You know, when you took an initiative, I would go in and I would take a look at it. But right now we're taking a look at it. But you know, when we go in the interview, we already know what they will be looking for because we're getting tested on that. And so we need to hit those points. So that's the point that I wanted to make. Now, let's say for a second, you're in it. So before we move any further, does anybody have any question in regards to interview? One thing I would say, and this is a cultural issue. We think that looking down while we're actually talking to the other person, or shaking hands, and our hand is, you know, so clumsy that, you know, we barely touch the hand, right? You know, those has importance in Western society, right? When you're gripping, you know, your hand it requires to be firm, shake, right? Not break their hand, but obviously, and if you are with a woman, and it's okay to say, that try to avoid it technically and not shake hands. If you're already a government employee, if you're not a government employee, don't say anything, just do it indirectly. How are you? And then if they really give you the hand, then you're gonna have to do it, or do it politely, try to avoid it if you want to. But if you're already a government employee, then sometimes I would just like in all of my interview, I would say I would shake hands, but I'm not allowed to, and I would just smile, and they would be okay with it. Okay. But if you're coming into the government, you have to be very, very careful what do you say. And then maintain the eye contact and so forth. We have problem with that. It's not in our culture. It's a sign of respect, actually, that we put our head down and so forth, and look it on the floor or look it on the papers and so forth. But not so much Western culture and so forth. Okay. Now let's say for a second so before we move any further, does anybody have any question on the interview? Can we move on?
I have a question.
Sure.
For example, like I have come here in Canada and studied MBA, and then I did like some not MBA type job, but other jobs. So basically, I just wanted to face the interview to any good position, but I still didn't get any chance because I don't have any experience. Experience means in the sector that I want to go in. So basically, what should I have to do at first to get the job like that I want? And I basically don't know that which job I am suitable for, because I have no experience in any of the sector. I have done my human resource management. So basically I have to go in that sector, but they don't even call me as I have the qualification only, but not any of the experience of those.
Okay.
So yeah, what should I do? Because they will not call me because I have no experience.
So yes, the answer is yes and no, right? The way I would approach to that, Jeff, first, I wouldn't try to get into a human resource job, but first I would try to get into an office job.
Office job, okay.
Right? Get into a desk job. And then, I would probably work on it 6 months or whatever, right? And then slowly move into, I had an employee, and this is way back actually, but I had an employee that was very qualified, right? And was working in garment, was working in garments, making clothes in Canada. And then the first job that she got, actually the first job was just filing papers, right? And the second job she moved from was doing payrolls, and then all of a sudden payroll manager, and then all of a sudden that person became office manager, right? So you're going to have to allow a little bit of time and do a little bit of planning, and don't take everything that comes on your way. Do plan and then do it that way. I'm going to touch base on that a little bit also, so bear with me, okay?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Any other question?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. For this type of situation-based questions, okay, basically when we come from our own home country, all our situations, all our perspectives are from Bangladesh or Bangladeshi professional world or corporate world. Sometimes that may not resonance with the culture in this country. So what would we do? We would make a thing, make a situation and explain it, or we would just relate our own experiences when we share this type of experiences related questions or
Yeah,
situation based questions.
So when like my recommendation would be when you answer those questions, don't mention that this was from Bangladesh, this was from. You can always say that, I had a situation where I was dealing with my colleague, and the colleague was, this was the situation, this was the action that needed to happen, this was the this was the task at hand, this was the action that needed to taken, and this is what was the results, right? You don't have to say time, place all the time, right?
Okay, that would be fair, I think.
Right, you don't have to say, like, if you just came into this country, right, you don't have to say that, right? You can, and then if they really want to get into nitty gritty and say, okay, oh, this was in Bangladesh, right? So you may get an interviewer that usually we don't see that, but if you get that, then you can say something along the line of human beings are human beings.
I got it.
Right, I would rather take that approach than going into directly. To be very honest with you, whether we acknowledge it or not, this is what happens when 200, 300 years a country is enslaved by the
Foreign invasion.
Right. Right. This is what happens. We think that everything other than brown is great. Right. But we lose the context is that human beings are human beings. Given the opportunity, we all will act ill.
Yes.
Right. I mean, a lot of people are, acting very honest and so forth, and not by choice, but because the law says, yeah, you're going to have to do it, and they know that we're going to be put in the jail actually if the behavior is not active. So, I mean, there is a little bit of that context as well.
Yes.
Okay. Deepa, I think you had a question.
Yeah, the thing is that, like, I don't know I have to share here or not, but the thing is that as a desk job, if I just apply, then they give us the interview, like, so that kind of interview, I think they wanna ask the way you have given us on the screen. For example, like for a desk job, where can I find those types of interview questions? Could you please tell me, like, as a receptionist or as a front desk or something, what they are gonna ask? Or I'm really curious about this.
Very nice segue, and I will come to that. So just stay on there, and I will come to that. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, moving on to the next thing. And let's say for a second, everything really went well. One thing I must tell you is that getting into a government job requires a lot of patience. And so you're gonna wait after you apply long time for them to call you an exam, right? You get into a temporary pool of people that got screened in, and then you long wait, then you write the exam, then you long wait, then sometimes it may take 2 years. I have had positions where actually one of my, not this position that I'm in, the position before, where actually it almost took them 1.5 years because of COVID and all of that. In this position that I'm in right now, it took them almost a year to give me an answer. So don't, they call it, in Canadian, don't lose your day job, or don't give up your day job, meaning have at least a means to bread and butter to your home. Just because you get logged into the what do you call it, examined, and you're called interview, don't give up any job. So, and then you have what they will do is that they will first put you in a pool, and sometimes they wouldn't put you in a pool, and they will just give you a call and say, okay, we have this job available, are you interested? Right, then you do long wait, and they're going to do security checks, they're going to do priority clearance check. Priority clearance, remember those priority clearance we talked about at the very beginning, was that this is where if you were an employee, indeterminate employee, you lost your job, they have priority over that job, so they will have to get a clearance to make sure that nobody is waiting. No, they will have to get a clearance to make sure that no veteran is waiting for a job and they didn't get it. So all those clearance are done, then you are given a job offer. Right? Sometimes by the time you applied, and by the time you get the job offer is quite a bit of time. Sometimes you just wait in the pool, right? And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, 2 years into it, you get a call, hey, you know, we need someone. So key to success, apply as many jobs as possible, write as many exam as possible, do as many interview as possible, and get into as many pool as possible. And hopefully, you know, one of those will pan out. So just because you were in pool in one job doesn't mean that you should stop applying. You should continuously apply. Okay? We're all good? Everybody good?
May I paraphrase it in this way, such as I
Sure.
am in a job. Let's say it's a simple job in government service or other. We have to continuously apply for added another qualifications that would sorry, not qualification, another job openings which are compatible to us, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're already in a job, let's say for a second, you know, you were an engineer, but you came in as an administrative person, or you are HR personnel and you came in as an admin CR job, right? What you are doing, basic desk jobs, right? And now you want to get into that job, right? You keep applying. In the government, everybody knows that people are constantly applying, right? But if you come as a casual, don't do that. If you come as a casual, don't apply to jobs, or don't let your manager know right away that, you know, that you're applying to other jobs, because then if they have in mind that, you know, they're going to offer you something, then they're not going to do that. We got 3 hands. Tanuja, go ahead.
I have already asked. I'm sorry. I haven't lowered the hand. Sorry.
Okay, Nadia. Oh, Nadia has also gone. Nadia?
Yes, please. So, just a quick question. How long does our job application stay active in the pool? Like, for example, I did apply for some jobs and did get closed, but the same job again got open. So, but I was not selected when I applied first. How long my job application is active? Should I apply again for the second job? It's the same job actually, probably just extended the deadline. I'm not sure, but it closed in December 2023, and then it got open again in January, and it's gonna close in March 2024.
Right. So here is the matter of the fact that if there is a job posting that comes up, you should apply always. Although it is the same job, sometimes what happens, let's say for a second, 3 months ago, they put a posting and they got a whole bunch of application. And now all of a sudden that job was put on hold for budgetary reason, for whatever other restriction. Or sometimes it is funny, but sometimes actually what would happen, they put a job in there and they would come to realize that Public Service Commission has an objection on that job for whatever reason, or the Chief Human Resource Officer has a problem with the posting that was put in because it was not articulated properly, right? Let's say for a second you put in a disability job, right? You put in disability, but you did not make the what do you call it? You did not make the disability as an essential component. There is no question about disability, right? And someone catches it and reports it, and they can just go ahead and scrap that complete competition and then repost it completely, right? So many reasons. As soon as you see a new posting, if it fits your criteria, apply it.
Okay, even if it is the same job, right?
Sorry?
Even if it is like the same job.
Even if it is the same job, there is a reason that they're reposting it.
Okay, so I won't be like considered like applied twice to the same job, because I know there are some restrictions where they don't allow to apply twice if you already applied to the same job.
In that case, they will tell you that, okay, if you already applied to this job, then, you know, don't apply to this. You don't need to apply. We're going to transport over all the applicants.
Okay, and the second part of my question is, how long does the application stay active before I would say that that's it, they're not going to
So
take
for pool, if you are already in the pool, they tested you and they did everything. Every pool has the expiry date, or the pool can be open for indefinite period of time. right? So if your pool has the expiry date, then your application is valid up to that expiry date. If your pool is open until indefinite time, then you're open until indefinite time. What I do not know, and I have to look for answer on this one, is that if you put an application and they did not do anything with that application, how long is that application valid? If you're not hearing anything from a job, like, 6-7 months, I would give up hope on that job. But you don't have to do anything, right? Just leave it there, right? But I do not know how long that application is valid for. I know once you go through the process, you're valid in your pool for the expiry date, or if it is indefinite period, then you're valid for indefinite period of time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So actually, while you ask that question, I want to show you something. So remember, if you ever get selected in a pool, right? They gave you a letter and they emailed you a letter and they told you that, hey, you are in this pool. Okay, what you could do actually smartly, you can go in, let's say for a second, you are interested in a department, and let's say this is agriculture. You are interested in Agriculture Canada job. Sorry, where is it? Let's say you're interested in Agriculture Canada job. So what I can do, I can go in and I can select a department. I can go to Agri Canada. Sorry, yeah, right here, Agri Canada. I can see a manager, right? Let's say corporate management branch, right? And I can see a manager and I can say, okay, this is don't send anything to deputy minister, because then, you will never get hired. But let's say for a second, I find a manager. This is the senior advisor to the director general, right? I find this person, Trisha, and I write her in an email. Trisha, I'm very interested to work for you. I'm already in the qualified pool with this department. This is the competition number that was run, and I am already in the qualified pool for this position. If you have any position, would you consider me? Right? You could do all of that, because if you are once qualified in a pool, the manager has the ability for the same classification. Let's say for a second, there was a competition that was run for AS3 or PM3 or FI3, right? And you were in that pool. The manager has the ability to, based on that pool, to hire you. They have that ability.
Excuse me. In
Yes.
that case, would we go for asking for suggestions, or would we straight say that, well, would you consider me for this for anything in your department?
Write
Which
it
should
very,
be the better way?
yeah, write it actually much more like, I am qualified in this pool, and I have been, it has been a dream of mine to work for Agri-Food Canada because of my this qualification, and I have a passion for agriculture. Do you have any suggestion for me what I can do? You know what I mean?
Seeking, right?
Sorry?
Suggestion seeking.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You may find that person, send it to a couple of people, right? And then once you establish a little bit of relationship, can I leave my resume with you? Because I'm already in this pool, right? And out of the blue, you will find, one day you will get a call. That has happened to me, by the way.
And no one gets disturbed by this way, right?
No.
Okay, that's good.
You're taking initiative, right? That shows, you're not just sitting and, that knows that you're very resourceful, right?
Yes.
I would hire that employee over an employee that actually I haven't heard from ever. That shows that you have ambition, right? Not such a bad thing. Okay. We do not have any more questions, so that is fantastic.
Just a quick question, brother. I did that way with city job. the after at the very end job posting, they have HR name, email, and suggestion copy for your future reference, this job post. So I contact with by over phone and also by email. They respond, oh, your resume look like very good, wonderful. Oh, we'll contact. We might be still shortlist, this and that. That's it. So I haven't physically contact few times, but didn't any return any response by email or by mail.
So I'm going to tell you a secret, okay? It's not really a secret, okay? You have to think about the big picture and then narrow it down to and plan and do action plan. A certain percentage of the population are conservatives. A certain percentage population of are liberal. The people that are conservatives, that are not very prone to hiring and exploring diversity, or people with diversity, or people they don't know. Sometimes it's not even a diversity issue. Sometimes it's people they don't know, right? And when I say that apply as many places as possible and do as many applications as possible, our hope is that out of those 10 applications that we do, 5 of those people have had a great experience working with an individual that they don't know. I mean, I know individuals that will not hire anyone but people from, let's say, Indian subcontinent. And they would swear that these guys are hardworking people. At the same time, I would also find some people that, that wouldn't even actually consider that option at all. So just 1 second, I need to, the battery is running out, so I need to recharge it. 1 second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I would bet on that number game, and hopefully through that process, and I'm so optimistic that through that process, my application is going to be in front of a person who is open-minded enough to explore me as a candidate and not get bogged down by a couple of people or a few people that never really looked at my application in the way it should have been looked at. Does that answer your question? I know it's the hard reality, but we're going to have to accept it if we want to do something and get our footprint here. No other questions?
Could you please repeat again? What did you say?
What I said actually is that different people have different biases. Some people have biases that I do not hire anyone that I don't know. Right? That's one type of bias, is that I only hire the people, or I only promote the people that have worked for me before.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Some people, they have biases that I only hire white folks. Right? It's not legal, but we're not mind reader. We're not able to tell what are the biases that are in there. Give it a couple of efforts, 3-4 times, try to initiate contact, establish contact, foster those contacts. If you see that it's not going anywhere, just move on to the next network that you can build. Don't get bogged down by the people that doesn't understand your value. Okay? Fair enough?
Yeah, okay.
All right. So now we're moving on to, so we talked about, okay, let's actually do a hand raise. And because I am a big proponent of minority and because we're minority here, I'm also a big proponent of supporting the people with disability because it is well needed. We don't do it enough. Let's do a hand here. And without fear of anything, if you are in other faith other than Islam or Muslim, because I'm going to ask you to share something with us. What do you do? Or people who don't have any associate with any religion at all, right? What do you do to cope with your stress? Because job hunting is a very stressful thing. How about I share with you how I deal with it, and then you can share with me how do you deal with it. Okay? So to me, it has always been, job hunting has two components. One component is what is within my control. What I have shown you so far is what within my control. What we started to touch base towards the end of that conversation is what I don't have control over. I don't have control over other people's biases, right? I don't have control over what God has destined for me, if I believe in God, right? And different scriptures, like in Hinduism, in Christianity, in Buddhism, right? It maybe you have different way of coping with that stress. So I will ask you, I will share with you mine, and then I'll ask you, we're almost towards the end, we have a few more slides, and then we're all done. I'll ask you, how do you cope with these stressful situations? Okay. So this is an ayah from Quran, which is the Muslim scripture. And can anyone tell, oh, actually, I'm going to cover, oh, I can't cover it. Without looking at Google, can anyone tell where those ayahs are from? Which chapter or surah they're from? They're from Surah Dariyat. And I'll read it. وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ فَوَرَبِّ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِنَّهُ لَحَقٌّ مِثْلَ مَا أَنَّكُمْ تَنطِقُونَ. Every time I think about this stressful situation where I don't get the job, right? I think about this ayah, is that in heaven is your sustenance and whatever you are promised. So I can do everything that I want to do, and I can try everything that I can try within my ability. But at the end of the day, I know that there is a limit to what I can achieve. And for that, I raise my hand or I look up in the sky, and God says, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, then by the Lord of heaven and earth, all this is certainly is true. The fact that you can speak, like as we speak, and this is a fact. And it is also a fact that our sustenance comes from above. So here is your turn to share with us, how do you cope with what do you do? How do you cope with the stress of job hunting and not having a job, or struggling through the interview process? How do you do that? Who wants to go? Anyone? I would prefer anyone from the Christian community, if there is here, Hindu community, or people who don't believe in anything, if you want to share, or Muslim community, it doesn't matter.
May I tell something?
Sure.
If you permit. There's a book, Seven Habits of Stephen Covey, by Stephen Covey, Habits of 7 Habits.
Right.
Okay. In that book, there is a very significant thing, that is, there are 2 circles in our life. In one circle, we can put all the things that we have control over, and there is another circle that there are things we don't have any control over. So everyone has these 2 circles in everyone's life. So what happens, I can do or I can perform, I can handle only the things that are under my control. I cannot think it over, or I cannot ponder over, or I cannot even regulate over the things that I don't have any control. So just we have to focus on the circle that we have control. We have right now, even in this case, what we do have the control on doing the things that may work. We cannot regulate the things that may not work.
Thank you so much. I read that book actually so many years ago. You just reminded me of those. Thank you.
Yes, it's a good book. It's a very good
very
book,
good
I
book.
think.
Very well written book, actually. Yes. Who else wants to go? Anyone else? Deepa, you want to go?
I am the most fortunate person who didn't get job.
There we go.
So I cope with this stress with my family members and do salah all the time, pray 5 times. I do recite some zikr that gives me strength. That's the things I can do. I'm a lay girl, so layman, you can say so. Common. So these things I do because since I'm from Bangladesh, so from there to till now, like I completed everything, but I didn't get job. This is my, I don't know, this is my destiny. And whenever I get the job, they don't give me money. It happens to me all the time. They just give me the work I do, and they don't pay me. And it is not a very small company. It is a big company, but they don't give me money because I don't know, my luck is like that. So that's the thing. And here in Canada, the Canada, if they don't give me the money, they will be punished. That's why they give me money. So that's the thing. And here I'm struggling from the bottom. So let's see. And I don't get job where I was in that city. Like I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia. So past 3 years I was there, but I did some job, and then
Where are you now, by the way? Which city are you in now?
right now, just it has been 4 days. I am here in Northwest Territories, Yellowknife.
You know what? There are a lot of jobs in there.
Yes, you are right. And I come here and I give the resume, and they gave me a call within 5-6 days.
Yeah.
So, and but I went to in person for the reception job. So I went in person and they called me, but I have a struggle as I'm not a permanent resident over here yet. I'm still in work permit, and I have some days left that I will be like, I have to go back to my home country. So I have a curiosity that I have to tell them that, are you gonna to support me or not? So these things I just wanted to know from you, that in the interview, am I gonna to tell them like that or not? Though it is
Let's chat. Let's you and me. Let's chat offline a little bit, okay?
thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
let's chat offline.
that's how I'm just coping of my stress level. Like whenever I see that this place is not gonna work with me, I have given my 7 month, 8 months, and regularly searching, thousands of applying. I'm giving the apply, and even in a customer, I have already done my customer service job, but in a from the customer service, I got a call and they rejected me. I don't know what's the thing is, that what's going on behind this scene. So
may Allah make it. So first of
kind
all, may Allah make it
stress-
easy for you. May Allah make it easy for you. It's sounds like that you're ready to do a lot. I mean, going to NT or Northwest Territory actually is not an easy thing, and you got my respect for being willing to actually go to that far to get a job. So I'll actually send you an email and we'll connect later on in the week. Okay, give me a few days.
Much. I need your advice that what I'm gonna do in my life.
And I know some people actually in Northwest Territory. So we'll see actually if there is anything that we can do, but let's chat afterward. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Anyone else? How do we deal with this stressful life? Anyway, Surah, there is a verse, there is actually a number of verses in Surah Nuh where it says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ask for forgiveness, ask for forgiveness. Those brothers and sisters that are having difficulty, and if you're of Islamic faith, then I recommend and suggest that continue to ask for forgiveness, and through which may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually open the doors and gates of mercy for your risk. Those of you that are not of Muslim faith, I can't give you the spiritual advice on that. So I can only give you the things that we can control, which is I already gave you. So hopefully that will benefit you and help you in some shape or form. So we covered quite a bit today. Let's take a look at, let's take a minute to recognize actually the two of our sponsors. These programs usually take a lot of effort and a lot of technology and so forth. So obviously the two of our sponsors are this program. A number of programs actually are being run by Projonmo Foundation. It's a foundation that we have built actually to support the two element is that our next generation here in Canada and at some point North America. The career support that we started to do, and then we're starting the Bangla learning program, and that will happen for the kids and the teens. That will start on April the 15th, 2024. And so we plan that to be a great program. So those are the two things, those are the two crises. I mean, in addition to the crisis that we already have, one of the crises is that we have a huge issue with the kids and not marrying or not finding bride and groom and all of that, and there are lots of brothers actually are working on that, so we didn't want to venture into that. One of those brother is actually from Ottawa, Rabiul Bhai. He is doing a phenomenal job running a program, and we're trying to support him in that. But Projonmo Foundation, we're focused on the two things. One is the career aspect of it, and the other thing is the transmitting and not losing Bangla completely among our next generation. And the second sponsor that we have is Q4E Institute. It's Quran for Everyone. This program has been in existence for a year. This is like one of the best Quran learning program in North America. We have what do you call it? There's 10 teachers that are actually part of the program. They're all from Egypt. The program is delivered through Microsoft ecosystem, and there are 62 students in that program, and you can learn from basic Quran, like learning from the letters to all the way. And we have had there is I think almost 20-25 brothers and sisters. These are actually mature people. They have came to learn Quran in their 45-50s, and this started with Arabic alphabets. And in last 2 semesters, this run on a semester basis, 3 semesters run in a year. And in 2 semesters, they were able to learn Quran. Now they're perfecting their Quran. They're moving into learning the meaning for the advanced Arabic courses. So those are the two sponsors that we have. The information for the Projonmo is careers at projonmo.ca, and then for the Q4E is info at q4e.ca. So if you have teens, kids, adults, anyone that wants to learn program, and that program actually has students from all across Canada, US, and Europe. So great initiative. All right, upcoming events, what we're putting together as part of our focus, we have actually invited some of our brothers from the community to give us presentation on the private sector, applying for a job in the private sector. We also are coming to a resume clinic, and then one of the things that the sister was talking about, and I suspect we will have a lot of that in our community where it requires mentorship. And so we're working towards that as we get closer to, we have your email. As we get closer to those dates, we're going to actually share those events with you so that if you want, you can participate. But those are coming. So before we actually finish our today's session, I want to do something real quick. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I'm going to give you a, sorry, just a second. I'm going to give you a, stop sharing, okay. I'm going to give you a final poll. Let's take a couple of minutes and answer some of those questions to gauge what do we accomplish today.
Brother, can I ask last question?
I will give you the, we will come to the question. I will give you the, so just to hang on to that thought for a second. Let's take another 30 seconds and answer everything that you could. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll now and share the results. So you can see the results in there. So so let's take that for a second. Let's share the screen again. So on my concluding remarks, before I actually start, answering to your questions, is that getting into the public service, it requires actually quite a bit of patience, planning, and perseverance. Don't give up. Like, have patience, have faith, cope up with the stress that you go through, right? And try to stay strong. Especially those of you who are completely jobless, right? So, and have faith that something better will come, and be positive and remain positive. It has been an absolute joy and pleasure to be with each one of you, and you have been nothing but a phenomenal audience, and you stayed throughout the presentation. So it's been a complete joy. Now, before we conclude, I'm going to allow you now ask questions and then take it from there. Brother Atik, go ahead.
Assalamualaikum. Actually, I feel that we need some proofreader for our resume in different fields. It was sometimes really help us that those job posting and our resumes completely reflect those keywords. So we haven't, if you find some brothers, they are in expertise on different field, and you can post their email address that we can make our resume and send to them according to our profession as a proofreader. Thank you.
Yeah, so just to echo, just to give you a little bit of a broader plan, we're in the process of actually putting a platform together where you will be able to upload your resume, and it will be assigned to a mentor, and your mentor will review it and guide you through that process. We already have that in the plan, but yes, great suggestion. Jazakallah khair. Brother Atik, yes. Brother Atik, do you have any more question?
No, I'm done. It was a very informative, fruitful session. I believe everybody benefited. May Allah give you big good reward.
Amen. Sister Nadia.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, my question earlier about French imperative jobs, and you did mention that there is a different process, application process for that, and you mentioned you would share that with me at the end. So I'm not sure if it is possible, if you have time for it to do it now, or would you like to
Can
connect
I
later?
actually give me a couple of days on that to get back to you? I have your email, and then inshallah I'll send it to you.
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan.
Yes. Wayak. Tanuja.
May we have a copy of this total presentation?
You may have a copy of this total presentation, but it doesn't have all the details, right? The details are in that Word document that I sent you, all this.
Yes, we got it. And I think this presentation will act as a cue
Yes, okay.
if I miss something. And the order is so organized so that it would help. Maybe for
Absolutely,
the first time.
Yes, absolutely, I can give that to you. No worries. I'll actually email it to you at the end.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Give me time until tonight, though. I've been actually quite busy, so just.
Of course, at your convenience, sir.
Thank you so much. Tanuja? Oh, Tanuja you already asked. Brother Goni.
Yeah. So can we get the recording of this session?
Can you get the recording of this session? The recording of this session obviously will be available. The question comes is that how do we make it available to the larger audience? I need to work on that, but that's obviously a possibility, yes, inshallah.
Because some of the portion is most of the portion is very helpful. So sometimes when we are applying, maybe for some of the steps, we need to go through again what you were doing or what you suggested. So that's why I think this recording is very important for us.
Sure. Yes. No, absolutely. That's a possibility. Yes. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, Jazakallah khair, everybody. Thank you very much for being such a great audience and being so supportive throughout the process. And I wish you best of luck, success. Those are of Muslim faith. May Allah make you successful in your journey of job hunting. Those of you that are in other faiths and beliefs, I wish you best of luck. And thank you so much. And I hope to actually unite. Stay tuned for communications in the